Ladies and gentlemen, what's poppin' with you? It's your boy Sim, and we're back here on the front stoop with some more topics to discuss. But this time we're gonna take it in a different direction. Yesterday, and it was a good show yesterday, but it got tense. And rightfully so, because we're in a situation right now where things are tense. So we had our chance to vent, let it out of our system. Now, hopefully, cooler heads can prevail and we can actually take some time and build. So that's what today's show is about. It's about building with one another on solutions to rise up from oppression. To rise up from oppression. Solutions for black empowerment, for blacks who live in America. That's what this session is about. So this is a building sessions, ladies and gentlemen. So those who are in the chat, this is what I want to get across to you. Listen, we're going to have disagreements. I get it. But please, let's not disparage anybody. Let's be respectful. If you disagree, you disagree. Throw out another solution. That's what we want here tonight. We want to talk about solutions to an issue that's got us all frustrated. And it's not just, obviously, what's stemming this entire conversation tonight is what happened with George Floyd, happened with Breonna, right? You know, what's happening to our black men all across America every time someone gets smacked down by a billy club, gets choked out in the middle of the street. Frustrations are boiling, and you can see what's going on in Minnesota right now because frustrations have boiled over the pot. So we want to talk about constructive solutions. We want to build with each other tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this is about. This is about building with one another, right? We talk about being unified, that the only way that we can progress forward is to be unified. Well, this is a chance for us to be unified, right? So that we can work together, that we can build something together. Okay, this is what it's about. We building here, ladies and gentlemen. I got my man Freezy in the chat. I got Guillermo in the chat. We're going to have a nice building session tonight. Talk about some real live solutions. Guillermo, Freezy, you want to just take a minute, say, if you got a little piece to say, not about last night, but just about building, that we can get on with everything, man.
You want to go first, Freezy?
No, go ahead, man. I can go.
Yeah, for me, just, I know we have a lot to talk about, but to me, it just comes down to what you do. That's a place to start, excuse me, is what you do in your own life. You know what I mean? Once you take your own will in your own life, you make things, better. I like what Nas said, blood of a slave, heart of a king, even though obviously not everybody's a slave or whatever, but we all have that king queen mentality. Instead of talking about it, be about it. You know what I mean? I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. You know what I mean? I think that no matter the odds or whatever, we as Black people, we're lauded, we're looked at, people have jealousy for us, envy for us, because they know that we can achieve. They know that we can do things on such a high level. It's up to us to believe. So that's that's my thinking.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that blood of a slave, heart of a king. The thing about it, although all of us are not descendants of slaves, we may not be a descendant of slavery itself, but we're definitely a victim of the oppression of slavery, right? Because that oppression has extended throughout generations till today. Mm-hmm. And we're still victims of it. Your bloodline may not have spawned from slavery, but you're a victim of that same oppressive system. you know, if you grew up in some of these neighborhoods that many of us did. And even if you didn't. Even if you didn't.
Right.
You know, so we want to talk about ways that we can, you know, how do we recover? How do we begin to recover? Because, you know, we thought years ago, civil rights movement, that we were beginning to recover then. That's what, 40, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we still haven't recovered. As a matter of fact, I would argue to say that as a people, and this is not an individual person, but as a people, as a group of people, we're more oppressed than we were in 1955, 1965, because the mentality is very different today than it was then for many of our people. As a group, I believe, right? That's just my opinion. You know, I believe that the mentality is different. And we're living in a much more oppressed mind state today than ever before, I believe. You know, but
I think we have a defeated mindset. I'm not sure.
Defeatist mindset. Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. You know, and it's apparent when you hear people that say, well, we can't do this because of this. We can't do this because we can't unify. You know, we can't do this because we don't have this or that. Right? That is a defeatist mindset. And we've got to find our way out of that defeatist mindset if we want to uplift ourselves. You know, so the first thing that I want to talk about, right? Again, we're talking about solutions for Black empowerment for Blacks in America. And I say Blacks in America very unpurposely, okay? Blacks in America. There'll be a lot of people that say Black America. I want to say Blacks in America, okay? Here's my first thing. And again, these are talking points for solutions, ladies and gentlemen, right? I'm not an authority. I just seen somebody in the chat say, and he is exactly right, Chef NYK, he said, also, no shot at age, but being in your 20s and 30s and even 40s, understand you're not an expert on Black history. You could have missed a lot, even if you were alive in that era. And he is exactly right. None of us have all of the answers or all of these solutions. This is the reason why we need to be together and unified to come up with these solutions and the answers, because none of us have all of the answers, right? None of us do. There's no way we can. But anyway, this is coming from my standpoint of thinking. And then, of course, I want to hear your standpoint of thinking. And we're going to hear everybody else's standpoint of thinking as my man Sabby joins us in the chat. The first thing that I believe we need to do to empower our people, first thing is self-love, ladies and gentlemen. Self-love. Love ourselves. Knowledge of self. And I know there's some people probably sitting there, I don't know, you know, the age group that's in the chat, but people are like, I didn't come here to go to school today. Well, we're going to school tonight, bro. Self-love. Knowledge of self. First thing, man, know your heritage. Know who you are. Just know who you are. I don't care what nationality you are. What part of this African diaspora you're from. But just know your heritage. Because that is where the love begins. When you know your heritage, know who your people are. So that you can learn to love yourself. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just talking in general. Love yourself. Know your heritage. Love yourself. Know who you are. Know where you come from. Know where your family comes from. From all sides of the track. Because Black people, we got people from all sides of the track all over the place, right? Take care of your mental health. Learn about your mental health. Because that's an area, and I'm going to name all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll discuss them. That's an area that black people in America run away from frequently. It's the mental health. You know, when we live in sometimes war zones, right? Sometimes war zones. We deal with things in our livelihood that causes stress, right? That causes mental friction, and we need ways to be able to release that energy, release that stress. People we can talk to. Don't be afraid of taking care of your mental health. It's important. Do not be afraid of taking care of your mental health. Physical health, ladies and gentlemen. This is an important one. Physical health, nutrition, exercise. And it's really important because so many of our people live in poverty. And you have food shortages, right? You have food deserts. Maybe that's a better word, a word that I might want to use better. Food deserts. You have places where the only food that you can get is the packaged, salted up food that's at the corner store. If you live in a larger city, it might be easier for you to assess certain foods and go to a market. If you live in some place that's rural, it may not. And so we get stuck eating oodles and noodles, right? Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all the time. Eating foods that's going to give us high cholesterol. Eating foods that's going to ruin our bodies. Taking substances into our bodies that's going to ruin your kidneys. That's going to ruin your liver. It's going to ruin your lungs. Right? Our nutrition. We've got to learn how to take care of ourselves. We need the proper nutrition because this leads to this. Your nutrition. It helps. It helps your mental health. It helps your emotional health. Right? You talk about sending your kids to school so that they can learn, but if they had not eaten a proper breakfast, how do you expect them to go into school and learn when they're hungry? Right? Nutrition is important. Exercise is important. These are things that a lot of us, I don't want to say don't believe in, but we don't partake in them as we should. Then emotional health, which could relate to mental health, but emotional health. You know, we've got to learn how to take care of our emotions. We've got to learn how to control our emotions. And I don't know if I have that one on the screen. Let me get that one on the screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Emotional health. And this may not be for everybody. Maybe for some, may not be for some. And I'm not telling you to go follow any specific religion. I'm just saying spiritual health, whatever your spiritual health is. These things right here can help you to become a healthy person. All around healthy person. Right? And this may, listen, I'm not writing a self-help book or anything like that. What I'm talking about, though, is how you begin to love and care for yourself. Because what you do, you're going to pass it down to your children, and your children are going to pass it down to their children, your grandchildren, and then your grandchildren are going to pass it down to your great-grandchildren. And this is how things go through generations and generations and generations. So there you go. It's my first thought on how we begin Black empowerment. Know your heritage, mental health, physical health, nutrition, exercise, emotional health, spiritual health. And like Guillermo said, this is all on you. It's all on you, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to get to my guys here, and I want to know what you think about it. Freezy, I'm going to start with you.
Hey, man. So first of all, let me start by saying thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share a little bit I know with the expectation that I learn something else from everybody else that's contributing. So secondly, I just wanted to touch on the self love
Hmm.
thing, man. That that is more powerful than the text that you put on the screen. Um, I feel like our community has a deficit of love for human beings, but has an overwhelming abundance of love of things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and so not to criticize anybody, but I think if we have less love for material things like Jordans and Benzes and things of that sort, and more agape love, or filial love, like as T.S. Lewis described in the book that came out in the '40s. The different types of love that one uses while they go about their life. I think if we say, for instance, I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
I love when the show comes, whether stupid but Knicks, right? So I really enjoy it. It's entertainment and education for me, right? But I find myself not saying thank you enough to the dude that put it out there. You know what I'm saying? And I should do stuff like that more, and the people that come on more and show more gratitude. You know what I'm saying? That's something I think we should. I think it's really understated, like showing our appreciation and love for people that do things for us and that are there for us. Right here is, I'm here doing this right here, looking to learn something from somebody else, as opposed to, what I'm saying, doing something else. So, I mean, I really enjoy, like, not just the on-screen stuff, but the YouTube chat. Me really enjoy. I love all the comments and stuff in the YouTube chat, and I need to show gratitude for stuff like that more. And I know that seems soft, and I think us saying it is one of our problems. Like, have this fear that people will judge us if we show love and appreciation for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Guillermo?
Yeah, let me go by point. I
Hmm.
can't see the table anymore, but I'll go by from what I was remember what you mentioned.
Okay, so
So
we had
definitely,
know your heritage, mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health.
yeah, I'll start off with physical health. Growing up, you're 1,000% right. Going to school, I didn't really have really good breakfasts or breakfasts. I don't know how you say it, but especially in elementary school, the food was garbage. So I mean, I starved most of the time until I got back home, or when I got older, middle school, then lunches got better. But it's crazy to think that I was even able to be okay in school for the most part, given that like I didn't have proper, unless I ate cereal at home or something like that. But again, like you look at a lot of kids on the trains and they're eating these salty foods and all this garbage. And it wasn't until I got to, I won't say high school, maybe it was college when I first started, when I started to stop drinking soda altogether and when I started eating more fruits. Now I realized that like I had better energy. My disposition was a lot better. You know what I mean? You eat these salty foods, these sweet foods, and you're bound to become more irritable. Your energy levels are like this. So when your energy levels are like this and you're irritable, you're bound to take out some of the stresses you may have from home on people. That's how a lot of people, in the hood, I hate saying the hood, but in black neighborhoods, gets a lot more fights, a lot more easier. And it's not just the food, but the food is a component of that. It's probably a catalyst to help bring that out. When you're irritable, your energy levels are off, and you're a lot of the toxins that go into your body throw off your balances, throw off your mindset. So as even for the little kids out there, I understand a lot of kids unfortunately live in food deserts. Um, that's why I'm an advocate for growing these farms. In New York, it's hard because there's so many damn urban farms now, but in some of these places like Detroit, I know you do a lot in LA now, or parts of LA. Um, it's best to start investing or try to build your own urban farms. I'm a big proponent of that. Emotional health, um, again, in black neighborhoods, we don't really, someone brought up, I think it was Andrew brought up about, we do have predators in a lot of our neighborhoods, a lot of our families. So it's really hard to sometimes find somebody to confide in, especially if you don't have both parents and stuff like that. But if you can, if you could put your trust, I'm not saying you go to this person's house. I'm just saying you find somebody you can put your trust and you have that healthy cynicism. But if you can find somebody to trust, you could talk about your problems with, versus letting those problems kind of fester until you're in your 20s and your 30s and you're making bad decisions because in the back of the subconscious, those issues are kind of push you to make those bad decisions, right? And so I would advocate for. I agree that you need to speak to somebody. People, the church, they say, oh, God, no. Speak to somebody. Because even God wants you to speak to somebody. I don't care what no one says, what religion you are. If you believe it, you need to speak to somebody, get it out, talk to them, whether it's a good friend. Usually if it's somebody who's older, a mentor, because they usually sometimes older, you would usually think they have the wisdom. So you try to find somebody who's kind of wise. If some of these older heads try to talk to you and try to give you knowledge, don't push them off. Don't listen to what they have to say. Obviously, you don't have to sit there and hold their hands and follow everything they do, but try to listen to what they say, because a lot of times, sometimes what these old heads say, you kind of throw in the back burner. Then when something happens, you're like, damn, didn't that old lady, wasn't she tell me about this? So try to find a network of people that you can speak to get some of these issues out and these problems out. Like in my old building, even though she's not a black person, but in my old building, there was this lady. I'm pretty sure she lost her husband, because I think she was really old. But we would sometimes just randomly walk down the block and just talk. Not say I was confining her or anything like that, but also works two ways. A lot of older people, they want somebody to talk to. So they have the knowledge to give, and you give them that companionship that maybe, the husband or the wife is not there anymore. The kids are kind of going on in their lives. Try to find some of these older heads you could gain some wisdom from, because history repeats itself. Everything we've done, they've done it. Regardless of if we have new phones, they've done it. So that's what I'll say. And then the spiritual health, people aren't necessarily spiritual. That's on you, whatever. But I would say the most I can say to even an atheist is to find time out the day to meditate, just to chill out, take out everything out. I'm one of those people that I feel like it sounds crazy, but I think better in chaos. I don't know why. And not say I like chaos, like things right, but I can think while a lot of things are moving around me. So let me not say chaos, but a lot of movement. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people just need time to just literally chill out. So turn off the phone, turn off the Instagram, and just sit by yourself and self-reflect. I've met a lot of people who don't self-reflect, and they've been trying to act like other people, had mental breakdowns, all this other stuff. I know one person committed suicide, even though I wasn't close with her. But she's one of those people that was extremely nice. Everybody worried about what everybody else was doing, blah, 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 end up doing this stuff because she's ultimately unhappy with her life. So, I mean, a lot of people, they never self-reflect. They never feel like they can be themselves because they never talk to themselves. They never have that moment with their own conscience to be like, what does James really want? Or what does Big Freezy really want? What does Sim really want? What am I thinking? What just happened throughout the day? Why am I going through these things? Kind of self-reflect, let everything kind of die down, and all the other noise kind of die down, and kind of self-reflect and go over things. So you're not trying to chase something that you're not really, or you're not all over the place. So that's what I'll say. Even if you don't serve a God, whatever, try to do that. So I think I addressed it. I don't know the
no, that's good. That's good. And I do want to point out again. First of all, everything that everyone has said on point. You know what I mean? And I'm going to open up the phone lines for people to call in as well, so that we can hear what you're thinking and what's on your mind. I do want to say, I want to point this out again in the chat. We're here to build tonight, not come at each other. We're here to build. We're trying to build, right? That's what this is about tonight. It's about building. We let it out last night. We vented. We let out frustrations. Now it's time to build. You know what I'm saying? These are solutions for Black empowerment. So, what you just heard, you may say, well, what was he talking about has to do with Black empowerment? Well, because what we said is self-love. That's our first part, self-love. So we talked about knowing your heritage, mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. So I just want to make that clear to everybody tonight, okay? That, we are on a quest to build with one another. So, that's that. Now, I'm going to let some more people here into into the whereby. I'm going to let my man Isaiah into the whereby. I do have to fix something here real quick. Guys that's in the whereby, you may see that you may see the room update. So, you know, don't if it kicks you out, it's going to bring you right back in because I'm updating the room. All right. Now let's get to the next part. While these guys are jumping back into the room. We talked about self-love, knowledge of self. Now, let's talk about the restoration of the black family, ladies and gentlemen. All right, because I think this is an important one. Important. Because you can look around your neighborhood, and, you know, I see a lot of people who feel, you know, some kind of way about using the word communities. Although community, you know, let's just, you know, talk about it for a second. Community has two meanings, right? You have a community where, like right now, this is a front stoop community because we're a group of people that have a similar thought process. Okay, you can also have a community where you have ownership of that place. Okay, there's different definitions to the word community. If you look around the black community, and I'm speaking in community of a group of people that belong together. We've been going through years and years of degradation of the black family. Years and years. And we've got to restore it. If we want to do anything, if we want to empower our people to do anything, it's got to be restored. It's got to be restored. One thing, and listen, some of the things I'm going to say may cause some friction amongst some people, but I'm just speaking from my heart and from my mind, and, you know, this is what I see. Committed relationships, ladies and gentlemen. We need stronger relationships, committed relationships amongst our people. And it's not everybody, and I'm not saying that we don't have. Let me put it like this. Let me just say I want to emphasize committed relationships. Okay? I want to emphasize it. Not saying it's not there, because I know where I live, it's here. So I just want to emphasize committed relationships so that we can break down and we can stop this cycle of single parent homes within the black community. And again, community meaning our people. Responsible sexual decisions. And, you know, there was we took some grief over this last night. That's okay. That's okay. I want to explain it a little bit. Because I think the meaning behind and the words that we use maybe were not as eloquent last night. But we had a lot of emotions that popped up. But responsible sexual decisions, meaning protect yourself. I think it's pretty much that simple. Protect yourself. Right? Understand what you're getting yourself into. And don't just go out and have children. Don't go out and father children that you don't plan to take care of. Or have children that you don't plan to take care of. Because this is one of the leading, in my opinion, or one of the most prominent reasons that we have the degradation of the black family. Because we've grown immune to living in these single home families or in broken homes. And of course, it dates back to slavery. There's no doubt about it. That's not anything that I would ever deny. It dates back to slavery. You know, from the parent being split up to be sold to different slave masters. And over generations, we become immune to it. It becomes part of our so-called culture, which is not a positive culture. Not everything is. We have a lot of positive things in our culture. Let me not say that. But there are a lot of things that we've got to dig out, root out, spit it out, and throw it away. This is one of them. All right, so we've got to, this is one of the ways I think we've got to take care of it and restore our families because, again, since slavery, we've been separated. We've been separated. And so this is what we've come to know, but it's not what we should come to accept. Respect the woman. I'm going to say it again. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Because the woman birthed us all. Bottom line, the woman develops the first relationship with the child. The woman is the backbone of the family. Respect the woman. Respect the man. Because he is the knowledge. Woman is the wisdom. And that little one, the child, is your understanding. And when you have knowledge and wisdom, you bring forth understanding of this thing we call life. So we need to respect the woman, respect the man, nurture the child. We need to have an intact family structure. That's what I was just talking about. Man, woman, and child. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Man, woman, and child. We need an intact family structure so that we can impart this knowledge and wisdom on this young child that's going to have a better understanding of life, and then take their understanding as they build their family structure and impart more knowledge and wisdom upon their child, and it continues, and that cycle continues to go, and the family grows stronger and stronger and stronger. An intact family structure. And then, and this goes back to knowing your heritage and knowing yourself and loving your people, but we've got to pass down strong, positive traditions that encourages pride in your family. Strong, positive traditions that encourages pride in your family. These are important, ladies and gentlemen. Important. I'm going to let these guys back in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and get to discussing some of the things that I just talked about. All right. Hopefully these guys heard it over the YouTube because they weren't in the chat. They're now in the chat. I'm going to go over it one more time. I'm not going to go in depth, but I'm going to say it all one more time. And then we'll go ahead and we'll discuss it. So the first things first, man. It's the second part. It's the restoration of the black family. Again, committed relationships, responsible sexual decisions. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Respect the man. Nurture the child. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Remember that. Remember that. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Man, woman, and child. Understand how that 360 degrees works. An intact family structure. And pass down those strong positive traditions that encourages pride in your family. Let me get to these guys here in the chat, man, and see what they're thinking, where they at with it. Isaiah, what's popping with you, bro? Good, good. Hopefully you just heard everything that I was saying, man. And let me get you unmuted, because there you go. I didn't have you muted where they could hear you. Now they should be able to hear you.
Just saying, what's up to Guillermo? Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Fiji. Shout out to Savvy. You know, this is what's up, Jazz? How you doing? You know, this is an important topic. You know, especially for the black community, the black and brown community. Well, no, I'm gonna say more of the black community. When it comes to, you know, our households, like you said, you know, it starts off with, you know what you're doing and know what you're getting yourself into. Have the mental capacity to think 9 months versus 5 minutes. If you're, a minute, brother. But it's really about just realizing that you're bringing a child into this world. And if you're a child, you can't raise, child can't raise child. You got to be a man, you got to be a woman to raise a kid. It's tough out here. And then, like you said, all this stems from these homes that are broken because we have 16-year-old, 15-year-olds, even 13-year-olds, having sex with no knowledge, with the responsibility of having sex, or even understanding sex. And, and then they do these things as children, and then they pay, and then they birth another child. And how can a 15-year-old raise a 1 month-year-old and try to, get an education, do all this, and then it just stems to so much stuff. We have to be sexually responsible. We have to be mature, and we have to have a teaching of using condoms or being on birth control, or sometimes just not having sex. Think with your head and don't think with your head. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of things that we gotta put in the factors. Like, even for schools, actually teach real sex education classes, like real sex education classes. I feel like that should be a criteria in school. And also too, the parents, if you do have parents that are responsible, teach them, don't be scared to talk sex with your kids. Let them know about the good, the bad. Let them know about both sides of it, because, sex is a beautiful thing when you're with somebody that you love and you care about. And it can be a terrible thing if you're just doing it for lust and you're just doing it for somebody, so you just got to learn the ins and outs of it and just be more responsible so that we don't keep having broken homes. We don't keep having, kids being 17, can't even go to college because they got to now think about somebody else because they can't think about themselves no more. Those ages are for you to be selfish. These ages of you being a teenager, being 20s, early 30s maybe, or whatever. These are your times for yourself to understand yourself, to know who you are, to love yourself, to understand who you are as a human being, so that maybe one day you can meet another human being, and y'all can either adopt or have kids naturally and, raise them right and teach them. And then after that, it goes from there and they see a good household. They don't see a household that's broken or, your baby mother mad at you because she won't let you see the kids and he mad because you with somebody else. And, it's just a lot of immaturity that you got to get out of your system.
And this is not to say that this doesn't happen in other communities, right?
Well,
I mean,
it makes it look like we're the only ones doing it.
Forget about the media. Right? Because the media is not going to tell the truth. It's happening in other communities, but we're talking about ours right now.
Of course.
Okay? So it happens in other communities. There's no doubt about it. There's no two ways around it. Right? So, we can say, well, no one says nothing when it happens in this community or that community. You know what? I'm not worried about those communities right now. I'm worried about ours. Right? And how we build these, how we rise up out of, the oppression that's been upon us for so many years.
Hey, Sim, you know what's crazy, man? It's just so, listen, I tell you how this correlates to our conversation. Even, I think it was yesterday, me and my cousins were coming from the mall and we're having a discussion because his, I'm not trying to put all his business out there, but his baby mother hasn't let him see the kids since February. Mm-hmm. Just offer some, and it's all based on just a lot of bull crap.
Yeah, I listen. I feel you, man. I feel you. Hey, let me get around. Let me get around to a couple of people, and if you could, because there's a lot of air in the background. If you could put your headphones in, I'm gonna come to Savvy, then I'm gonna come to Jazz. All right, if you guys can, real quick, go ahead, Sav. You can unmute yourself.
How you doing, Simeon?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good.
What topic do you want me to chime in on specifically?
Whichever one, man. Right now, we just went over, just talk about the restoration of the black family. You know what I mean? Restoring the black family. And I'm not talking about any other group right now. We're talking about us.
Absolutely.
Right? So we talked about committed relationships, responsible sexual decisions, or sexual behavior. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. Respect the woman. And I said that several times because, like I said earlier when I described it, or when I talked about it, the woman is the mother of the earth, right? She birthed us. She is the first person that we met. Without her, there is no us.
Absolutely.
She is the backbone of our family structure. At least that's the way I feel about it. Okay? She is the first teacher. So we've got to respect, trust, love, and protect our women, because she is the first teacher of the child that we are going to put out into the world. So respect the woman, respect the man, nurture the child, have an intact family structure, pass down strong positive traditions that encourages pride within yourself, within your child, within your family. Those are the things we were just talking about.
Okay, wonderful, and I agree with all of that in essence. And I want to take it to a philosophical route for a second. When it comes to the family unit, I absolutely respect the man, respect the woman, nurture the child. You know what else you need to do for the child? You need to preach solutions and philosophies that are practical and work in the freaking real world. Okay? Because if we preach piety and morals and virtues and certain things that we have been handed and that have been propagated throughout our community in terms of belief systems, then we're setting them up for failure when it comes time to get practical in life, right? And I feel like one of the things that we can start doing in the Black family, assuming that the Black family hasn't been destroyed as a unit by outside forces by now, then we can say that when you're raising the child, you raise the child with a sense of skepticism in their mind, and that you don't stifle curiosity and critical thinking in the youth when questions are brought up and challenges are brought up that make you feel like maybe you're not getting the obedience that you're looking for. Okay. Because what happens a lot in a lot of very intact family units, okay, is that when you're raising a child and the child talks out of term, right? As if there's a proper term to speak in when you're not disrespecting your parents, right? Okay. And when it comes time for the parent to just seek peace of mind and they're becoming too annoyed to continue the dialogue with the child, they're going to say things to the child that just get the child to stop talking and stop being curious and stop asking questions and stop going down this route of thought and communication with me, because I don't want to hear it from you right now because I'm annoyed and stressed out. Okay, that's something that happens a whole lot. Okay, we could leave with that first. Okay, because if you send a child out into the world who all he knows at home is just listen, obedience, listen, right? And rule and order, then he's going to go out into a world that gives him rules and order to follow that he can't win at in the first place, even if he follows them. And so skepticism needs to be had. Critical thinking needs to be had.
Critical thinking.
You need to have a guiding light internally that doesn't come out of a book that's written down somewhere by man.
Okay. I like that word, critical thinking, and I don't mean to cut you off or anything, but I want to make sure we get around, and there's a lot that can be said on each topic that we're discussing. So I'm just gonna ask people, keep it short, keep what you're saying kind of short so we can get around to everybody. We kept the chat short tonight so that you know, we can make sure we get to everybody's opinions. Jazz, I'm coming to you, Jazz. And you can go ahead and unmute yourself. There you
What's
go.
going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
Good,
Can y'all
good.
good. I'm gonna be real brief. Black people have a lot of stereotypes within the families. I love Black people. I love Black families. We have our families. Are Black families dysfunctional? Yes. We have problems. We have issues, but we work that stuff out. Nobody is as tighter than the Black family. White families hide all the time what goes on in their households, and our stuff just gets put on the spotlight all the time. So when you're talking about, I think you guys were talking about sexual relations, or for example, the woman. Yes, protect our women. Last night it was said that privately, and I won't say no names. Last night it was said that women are harsh. Black women are harsh. And you just told on yourself, Black women are harsh. This is true. But we're harsh because we had to be. We had some women, Black women had no choice but to do what they needed to do to be able to protect the home. Sim said it. He said that women are the Black, well, not Black women, but the woman is the first. I mean, James Brown said it best. I mean, this is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or girl. I mean, come on, we multiply. You know what I'm saying? We make the world go round, and that's facts. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Then y'all said something about relationships, something that I always talk to my friends about when they are coming to me about with their relationship issues. I ask them, have you seen the family? Have you met the family yet? Are you sure you're in love? Do you sure you want to lay down with this person? Because you want to know what you're exposing yourself to sexually. And you also want to know what you're exposing yourself to, where if you have kids, if this man has anger issues and he beats you or whatever the case may be, I'm not saying the kid has to come out that way, because things can turn around, but you got to make sure that you know what you're laying down with. My mom always say, you lay down with a dog, you get up with fleas. And if you laying down with certain, you know, it goes for the woman too. You got to know what her mama like. You got to know what her grandma like, or whoever the case may be, or who raised her, because you don't know what seeds are being sown into these people, and it may manifest within the kids. So yes, it is important. You don't want to just lay down with anybody, but you also want to be smart and have solutions to the fact that, yo, okay, do I love this person? Okay, but before I do, I need to make sure, because sometimes you could be dating somebody for 6, 7 months, and then you meet their family, and then you see a whole nother side, and you got to look forward to that. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, that's just it. So far. I'll keep it brief.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, I'm looking in the chat, man, and I see people in the chat. I'm going to say this once again, and then I'm going to just start taking people out. We're not here to debate each other tonight. We did that last night on these topics. We're here to build tonight. That's what this is about. This is about building. You know, can we find a way to empower each other? I can understand that you're going to have some disagreements, but can we please empower each other? That's what this is about. That's what this is about tonight. It's about building together. We building here. We trying to build here. I'm going to get to a phone call, then I'm going to get on to the next thing. Caller, you're live on the front stoop. What's poppin' with you?
What's going on, Sim? It's Justin from the Bronx. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you feeling?
Yeah, first of all, I caught your show last night, a little late last night, though, and, much respect to what you was saying last night, because everything you said was facts. I even got my son watching your show right now, and he's learning something out of it, too. You know what I mean?
Great. Appreciate it, man. That's what it's for, man. We're trying to build here.
What you're saying, right now, you, and even, Guillermo, too, everything he was saying from last night all the way up to today, everything is so true. We have to, I'm a Hispanic, first of all. I'm not black. I'm a Hispanic. But, like, for instance, my son, I have not taught him nothing. And I'm going to say it like this. And he comes to me a couple of weeks, well, he comes to me all the time. Let me put it like this. He sees me talking on the phone, for instance. I'm talking to my friends. And we talking about people oh, yo, that N-word. And he comes to my room, and he barks at me. My 12-year-old son that says, Dad, watch your mouth. The N-word is not a proper word to use. He says the proper word is the African American. Okay? And I have not taught him nothing. But what I'm trying to say is this. We, as men, respect the women is the number one. Okay? You're not ready to have kids you're gonna have 5 kids with 3, 4 different baby mothers, and you expect, oh, yo, my baby mother gonna get along with me, or if I can't get something from her, I'm gonna get something from the other one, or I could get something from the other one. And then somebody on the chat also said, oh, we didn't have father figures in our lives to learn from. Listen, my father was on drugs all his life, okay? But because we've seen our fathers and even our mothers do the wrong things in life, does that mean we have to follow that pattern and teach? Oh, well, my father did this, so I'm going to do the same thing. You know what's wrong. You know what's wrong when you start to build your mind on your research. Yeah, we don't know about our backgrounds. I don't even know about my background. You know what I'm saying? But you have to realize, okay, what he did is wrong. What she did is wrong. Am I going to do the same thing? No. Push yourself to not do the negative energy, the negative vibes that you see around you. Push yourself to say, I'm going to continue to go to school. I'm going to continue to get my education. I'm going to push myself to get out of high school, graduate, go to college. I'm going to push myself. Not just say, oh, I'm going to get out of high school. I got my high school diploma. Great. Now I'm good to go. You're not good to go. You're not good to go. I tell my son all the time, I said, listen, do not be like me. Be better than me. Because there's no sense, I want to be like dad, I want to be like mom. Be better than your parents. Be something that your parents are going to say, man, you accomplished what I could never have accomplished. And that's what I tell my son all the time. And I learned from him. I learned from my son. Like I said, and I'm a father telling him I have not taught him nothing. But he teaches me.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, don't talk that. Don't say the N-word. Don't call mommy a B word. African American. He doesn't even say black people. He does not say black people. He corrects everybody. Even if it's one of his black friends, his African American friends on he talk, don't say the N-word. It's African American. It's a woman. It's not a B. Correct her. We have to see that. We have to see. We have to learn. Oh, if we've seen our lives from the past, our past mistakes that we have made, our parents have made, we have to say, we know it's wrong. Just because my father did drugs, I'm going to follow the same path. Just because my friends smoke weed, just because they drink alcohol, just because they want to hang out in the corner till 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to hang out with them. You choose to hang out with them. It's not the pattern you choose. It's not to say, oh, well, because I grew up in the projects. And I'm tired of hearing that, too. Everybody talks about projects are buildings. Projects are buildings. They're not. It's people you choose to follow. You choose to do what he does. You choose to do what they do. That's your choice. But if you know you can push yourself to be better, push yourself to be better. Play the game that is rigged. The game is rigged. We have to play the game. Push us, and when you accomplish what a lot of people say you will never accomplish, those people, they're gonna go right behind your back. Man, that person did it. That person really did it. You know? And I mean, that's basically it right there, you know?
I feel you, man. Yo, keep feeding that little man knowledge, man.
Yeah, man. And I hope you keep on coming on the front stoop with it, because I got him watching your show, and no lie, his school was supposed to do a little report on that. Like, they gave him the option to do a report, and guess what? He's doing it on racism in the world. And I got him watching your show right now as we speak, so he can learn from it.
That's what's
up,
man.
You too, Guillermo. I see you too.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Keep feeding them knowledge, man.
Yeah,
keep feeding them knowledge. No doubt. Appreciate you, my brother.
All right, Tim, take it easy.
All right, peace. No doubt about it, man. Keep feeding them kids knowledge, man. Let's go on to the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Because now we're going to start getting a little bit deeper. All right, and this one is, we're going to get a little bit deeper. Because now we got the rest of, we got some knowledge of self. We have the restoration of the black family. Let's just assume these things take place. And I'm not saying these things happen overnight. It takes time. And it may not happen in this exact order. These are things that need to happen. And I think another thing we need is the development of a black national union. And those exact words may not be what it is, right? May not be those exact words, but you understand my thinking here. Okay, you understanding my thinking. And what would this the development of this Black National Union do? What's it for? Well, you hear me always speaking about the need in our community for an institution like the Nation of Islam. And I say like, I'm not telling you to join. I say like, that can develop some of the societal needs. Help us to develop some of the societal needs. Let me explain it, but let me bring it up and explain it a little bit better as I go. But these type of institutions that we need, right? Institutions that can go into cities and towns all across the country. And we're going to talk about this whole country thing later, but for now, let's just leave it here. That can go across the country and establish legal practices for us, can understand the laws in that city, in that state, help us to understand the laws in our country, in this country, let me say that, in this country, help us to understand the laws in this country. Because, and not just that, but all of the legal things that we need to deal with our people. And they may not be the experts, this Black National Union or whatever you want to call it. I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to bring in a new world order here, right? But, you know, this is the type of institute. This is just where my thinking is. Everything that we need to deal with legally, we develop experts in those areas through this Black National Union, right? And when I say a Black National Union, I'm saying people, you know, a group that is uncompromised. And you know what I mean by uncompromised? Uncompromised by the other side. That has our true interest at heart. Okay? This union will help to make sure we have the proper educational foundations in our neighborhoods, right? Black-run schools, I don't know if I want to say own schools, but we have our own schools that is teaching us the way that we need to be taught, teaching us the history that we need to learn, teaching us in a universal manner, not learning his story, but learning our story. Implement health care. Help us to implement. And when I say health care, I'm talking about our own hospitals, right? That's what I'm talking about. Then, of course, economic development and restoration. And what's that? That is our own businesses, right? So what we're talking about here, we're talking about our own legal practices that can guide us along the way to dealing with all of our legal issues. Things that deal with the law. And at the moment, we are housed in this country, so we've got to deal with the laws, and we need to know the laws, right? The law has to be a major part of our education growing up. It has to be, because we've got to know it inside and out so that we can understand how to move, how to operate. We've got to know it inside and out. Because if you look at certain definitions, some of the police in this country can be labeled a terrorist. If you look at certain definitions, we'll talk about that another time. We'll get into that another time. But these are things that we've got to know. And so if someone is labeled a terrorist, what does that mean? What is the ramifications if you're labeled a terrorist? Right? So we got to know the laws so that we can understand how to use those laws to our benefit. And obviously, you know, education, healthcare, we need these things that we have control over, ladies and gentlemen. in the development of some type of black national union to help us put these things into place. And this is not an easy task, not at all. Trust me, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people looking and saying, what the hell is he talking about? He wants to usher in a new world order. You know what I'm saying? The Illuminati got him. Some people. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about establishing our own stuff. That's what I'm talking about. And you got to have some way to do it. Establishing our own stuff. Legal, educational, healthcare, economic development and restoration. And I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm missing some things here, but I'm talking about all of the societal institutions that are out there that we participate in. We have our own. You know, when I talk about the healthcare and education and economic development and restoration. And I probably should have added farming on here, right? Probably should have added farming on there so we could grow our own food, feed our own people. You guys see where I'm going with it, I hope. Right, but this is needed. We talk about unity. You and I in union. We talk about unity. This is how we unite. This is how we bring it. This is how we bring it. And I do want to say one thing here before I get on to everybody else in the chat. When I look at economic development and restoration, you know, I seen a lot of people, you know, when I was talking about, when a guy last night asked me about rioting and what is my stance. I don't know if I fully explained myself and where my thinking is on the situation. Okay? But here is my thinking on the situation. Number one, when you're dealing with years and years of oppression, years and years of pain, years and years of being beat down mentally, emotionally, physically, you got to let it out. You get frustrated, you're pushed to the edge, and you feel like you don't have a voice because every time you try to say something, you got smacked in the face. And it went on to happen again. So what happens? You let it out. And it comes out in frustration and anger, right? That's what happens. And when you look at what's going on in Minnesota right now, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So you can understand why people are frustrated in the way that it comes out. But it's not something that I condone. And let me tell you why I don't condone it. And for the sake of, you know, everyone in the chat, I'm going to use the word neighborhoods instead of community. Here's why I don't own it. Here's why I don't condone it. Because I understand the frustration and why. But it does a couple of things. One, if I walk out my house and I get smacked in the face, I'm not going to come back into my house and tear all the pictures off my walls and knock over my television. I'm going to smack back. That's what I'm doing. I'm smacking back. All right? Because I don't want to destroy stuff that I have and where I live. So, you know, that's one. But two, you know, there's a plan to eradicate us. You can go back into the vault of history, read about it, watch documentaries, whatever you want to do. There's been a plan. And part of the plan is move us from our neighborhoods. Get us out of there. And when we destroy the neighborhoods that we live in, it feeds into that plan. In my opinion, it feeds into that plan. How's it feed into that plan? Well, we go out. You know, we throw some bottles through a couple of windows, bust up the stores, burn down buildings in our neighborhood. Not the neighborhood where the perpetrator came from, our neighborhood. right? The perpetrator comes from another neighborhood 20, 30 minutes away, but we do it in our neighborhood. Throw Molotovs, do all this stuff. And guess what happens when that happens? The value continues to drop, and it falls, and it falls, and it falls, and we destroy, and it falls, and we destroy, and it falls. And real estate investors, these big real estate investors sit in their office and they say, go ahead, destroy it. Keep going. Keep burning. Burn down some more buildings. You know why? Because as soon as it's over and these things need to be restored, they're going to come in and they're going to buy up that property for 10 cents on the dollar. Maybe even pennies on the dollar. I just say that. They're going to come in and they're going to buy it for pennies on the dollar. And then you know what happens from there, right? They restore it. The prices of your rental properties go up. You're moved out. We're moved out. We got to go bunch up in some little place, somewhere. And to feed into that, or to compound this situation, because we went out and, you know, we threw bottles through windows and we did all of that stuff, we feel vindicated. Now we feel vindicated. We feel like, you know what? I did what I had to do. I did my job. Did what I had to do. And then we sit back and watch these buildings get bought up while we're feeling vindicated. See, that's why I don't feel like it is constructive. And I seen somebody say 1992, the LA riots in 1992 were constructive. Were they? And I'm not being facetious with you if you're watching. I'm just asking the question, were they? The reason why I'm asking you that question is because 1992 is 30 years ago, 28 years ago. We're in 2020. The same damn riots, just a different city. Different city. And I'm not saying it's just because of riots, but obviously that didn't work. Nothing that we've done has worked. But neither has rioting. Hasn't worked. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, it's made it worse because of what has happened, what continues to happen to our communities. You see, when a hurricane comes through and knocks down a community, a neighborhood, well, you know what? FEMA and all these other places, they step in and they rebuild it. And those people stay there. But when we go out and do that, there is no emergency funding that's going to come and reclaim our neighborhoods for us. It's going to stay that way until somebody comes, buys it, gets us out of there. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's it is a short-term solution for gratification, in my opinion. Say that. I understand why. Trust me, I do. I've been at the point myself where I've had to punch a wall. Trust me. I have. I know. But it's a short-term solution to gratification. And the reason why I brought it up here is because of economic development and restoration. Because when we destroy our communities, we need to restore them. But we don't have the money to restore them. So somebody else comes in and buys them and restores them and kicks us out. We go someplace else where we get bunched up in worse areas. See, there's more ramifications to it than just, you know, wanting to send a message. I understand wanting to send a message. I do. I get it. I get it. But why are we sending a message by doing it to our neighborhood? And I'm not going to condone this, so don't go out and say Sim said to do this, but why are we sending a message by doing it to our neighborhood and not the neighborhood of the perpetrator? Like I said, I was talking to Isaiah earlier and I said, hey, you know what? They did some things to those police cars. I ain't got nothing to say about that, because that is the person, that's where our energy is directed. They did something to the police station in Minnesota. That's where the energy is directed. I'm not condoning it, but that's where the energy is directed. I get it. I understand it. But why our own neighborhoods? So that's why. That hopefully I explained it better and you understand my thinking a little bit better. Anyway, let me get to some of the guys here in the chat. They're probably like, damn, Sim's talking too long. Told everybody to stay short, but I'm talking too long. I get it. My bad. Let me come to Guillermo. I want to get your take on this, man. I want to get your take on it. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You got it? No, I'll come back to you. Freezy?
Yo.
Oh, my bad. I just accidentally muted you. Go ahead, Freezy. You gotta
unmute yourself, Freezy.
There you go.
Sam just did that.
There you go.
All right. So you said a lot of stuff, man. There are a lot of points in there, a lot of touchstone moments in there. Just going back to when you first started, man, I think the change starts with ourselves. Like, I strongly believe that we should treat our bodies like a temple, right? Like, make sure that we take care of not only, the physical being, but the mental and emotional person, so that we be better equipped to handle situations. You know what I mean? Secondly, we have to understand, man, that when we go about our lives, sometimes we have to mentally and emotionally, we have to be where our feet are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be in the moment. Like, we walking around and we see somebody that we think might be, Mrs. Freezy. She's fine, she's smart, she's sharp. You know what I'm saying? So instead of like calling her out her name or trying to, degrade her in order for her to be submissive, we should, talk to her, see what this lady is about. You know what I'm saying? Encourage her, empower her, like her, maybe later on grow to love her, understand who she is as a person. That way, you can do one or two things. Either she is the person for you, you know what I'm saying, and you can, grow what it is that you already have, or you can step. If she not for you, then, go the other way. And then the thing you said about organization, the thing about that, man, is I understand that's the direction that we need to go, but I think we need to have, there is underlying apathy in our community, like people that have this give up spirit. Like, they'll say, no matter what we do, it's never going to work. You know what I'm saying? So we have to come up with better ideas and be more encouraging and loving in our communities, and explain things in a way so that people will understand that, this is going to be a step-by-step process no matter what we do. You can't just say, no matter what we do, it's not, things will never work, especially the things that you mentioned, like economic development and restoration and things of that sort. We desperately need those type of things, but we also need to be able to empower people in order to move in that direction and have them see and share that vision that you have. In terms of the venting for things that happen to us, man, it's a natural thing. It's something that we, when things happen to you, you have an emotional reaction to it. And I understand people say, well, don't burn down your own neighborhood and all of that stuff, man. But the thing about it is when you constantly see things happen to your people, you want to do something to have somebody feel that you are not just going to roll over and play dead while all these things happen. And understand that you don't want to do anything physical, right? In the moment, people don't always think things through, and I think this is where we get the riots and things from. They'll say, we want to do something, and then the mayor's office will be like, well, I have a open date for an appointment where all y'all can sit down on July 28th at 10 o'clock. Man, that's 2 months from now. Nobody want to do that. You know what I'm saying? People are frustrated and they want others to feel their frustration.
Listen,
I'm not saying do damage. I'm not saying do damage to property. I'm not saying that. I disagree with that. I agree with you.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. I definitely get it. And one of the things that gets me so frustrated about people, and even some of our leaders, so-called leaders, if that's what you want to say, they'll say, go out and do this, do that, do this and do that, but they're not going to put themselves in harm's way. They're going to send the troops out there to do it, right? They're going to send us out there to do it. Yeah, you know what? Right. They'll find a safe time to take a picture, walking with the people. But when the bombs start being thrown, they're out. You know what I'm saying? They'll say that. Listen, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to tell somebody to do something that I'm not going to do. If I'm not willing to put myself through it, I'm not going to tell you to go through it and do it. I'm going to touch on this. I want to touch on this a little bit more later. Right? I just want to touch on it a little bit now because I see so many people that's like, yeah, go out there, do this, do that. Right? But when that young man ends up in prison, where the hell are they going to be? When that young man ends up on the ground, bloody, are they paying for the funeral? Hell no.
No.
Hell no, they not. You know what I'm saying?
But Sam, what about? So I wanted to ask you this. What about us being apathetic to things that happen? Like even when things in our community challenge us, not just a young man losing his life, but when things impact, say for instance, when people are taxed so much in their community, they're forced to move. You know what I'm saying? Or when other races come in and take over communities and force you to move, and people are apathetic to it, won't go downtown, won't speak up for themselves, won't go vote. You know what I'm saying? Won't do any. So what do we do then?
Well, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Say that one more time.
I'm speaking to the sector of our community that is apathetic, right? That's regardless what happens, they feel like they're no matter what they do, people are going to do something to them and they can't do anything but go along with it, like being apathetic.
Well, that's the hard part, and that's what I'm trying to do here tonight. I was listening to Reza Islam last night, and he, one of the things that he mentioned were, when we talk about having our own state, there's people that, we can't do it. They're going to bomb us. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we got to shake off that, like Guillermo said, that defeatist mentality. Because if we just accept it, then we're going to be stuck here. You know what I mean? We got to go out and we got to do something. Guillermo, you want to jump in here?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, shout out to Justin Hernandez. That's his son. I mean, you could say he's an exception to the rule, but his son is that's his mind says everything I embody, man. And the father too. I love what the father said, that you should have kids to have them, or you should want your kid to be better than you. And like that, I'm not a person who cries a lot, but if I could shed a tear for that, that is like anytime anybody's thinking about having a child, that should be the first thing on your mind, that you want your seed, you want your offspring to be better than you. And you want to put that kid or that the child in the best position even if you're not the richest, you should only want to bring a child in the world if you're able, if you strongly believe you're able to, not because you want something to love you, not. So what he says, salute to Justin Hernandez. God bless him and his family, man. I love that.
Mhm.
You said one thing about the, I think like national groups and stuff. And I would say this, one thing that we've fallen, and I'm not saying this to debate, whatever, but I just think that we have to be kind of careful with so-called national groups. Because one thing is that, we do have a lot of leeches out here, a lot of so-called wannabe
Yes.
false prophets. And I'm not saying this against anybody's group, whatever, but we
No, you're right.
have discernible evidence that there have been people out there who claim to be for Black people, but they've sold us out for
Yes.
whatever causes, whatever reason. So, and the thing with Black people is that even when we had groups, right, you look at the Fred Hamptons and Malcolm X's, one thing that we've fallen into is that we love Black messiahs. We
Mhm.
love people to kind of lead us out of the right. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, right? It's a very beautiful thing, but we have to realize that we have a lot of elements that want to bring that down, right? We have a lot of FBI, whatever it is. For instance, be real quick, Guy Zoe Williams, he had an episode one time when they were talking about stuff like this and it kind of got heated because a white caller called in and blah, blah, and Corey Holcomb was saying stuff. And he said that both he and Corey Holcomb got visited by the FBI talking about, oh, do you guys know the Black Messiah? And they were basically like trying to catch them to see if they knew any so-called Black extremists or stuff like that. And we've seen with COINTELPRO, we've seen a lot of groups, Black Panthers, who've been infiltrated by a lot of plants. Where Black Panthers, they're literally agents online who said, you had fighting Black Panther agents who were doing things.
Yes,
to
I know, and that is the painful truth. And I don't know if you heard it, but in the beginning I said, an uncompromised people, which could be very hard to come by. And I'm not talking about a group that controls us all, right? Like, okay, now we have this this Black union and they are the controllers of Black people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more of groups that can come into the community and help business owners that want to establish businesses, help to educate us, on the laws of this nation, help the people in the communities to establish schools and, hospitals and those things. Not that they are the controller. You know what I mean?
Right. And what I was trying to say is that because what you're talking about, again, is building culture, right? And I know people are going to kill me, but, I'm not saying I'm not better or different from any one of you, right? We don't have that. Right, we could talk about manifestations, art, things but we do not have a collective. So when you look at other groups, and I know people got mad, but listen to what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at other groups, right? Asians had cultures for thousands of years that they brought over from China. So when they come over to America, even if they don't necessarily like each other individually, they come together, do business, they're around each other, they live around each other, they build around each other. Jewish people have obviously religious dogma that they go by, right? You could pick any other groups, Arabic people, and they come over the same similar thing with, they have religious dogma and because usually Arabics, you're thinking Muslim. I'm just saying like in New York City. So if they're Arabics, we're not Muslim. I'm not saying, trying to put you in a box. But Black people, because we're an amalgamated people, I think the best way to go, is to have the incentive through money. To have the incentive to say, all right, I may not believe what you believe in religiously. I may not, I'm Jamaican, you're Nigerian, you're from Ghana, I'm from whatever. So our cultures or whatever our cultures our parents brought over is not going to mesh. And that's fine. But we have the same skin and we can do business with each other. And we all live around each other and we all go to the same schools. And like you said yesterday, we got to put money into these schools because the schools, the police officers, all these all these public works are funded by what? Our money, right? So when we doing more business with each other and it's not leaving that community, it's staying within each other, we go and work outside the community, right? We go to whatever jobs we have, but we allow that money to circulate amongst us, right? Now you have consortiums, groups that say, hey, we represent the corner store groups of this community. And we're going to come to you, politician, because we want to pay you. So that's what I'm saying in terms of building. So I think it's more of a mercantile kind of structure where it's going to be not necessarily national groups yet. I think that's end game stuff, which is beautiful, but you need it more. I think you just need more on a microcosm level. So again, in your neighborhoods, whatever. For the people who feel like they don't have any places to go, oh, I'm never going to be a doctor, man. I effed up. I went to jail. I got priors, blah blah. Well, you and your friends can get together, or people can get together and look to ways to try to work your way into owning a store.
Yeah.
Hey, you put the store together. Like you said, investors. You got black investors out there that want to invest, and sometimes they don't have people to trust within some of these communities. Hey, we have this group, blah blah. We want to learn We want to learn this. We want to learn accounting. You open up this store, we run it, and we make sure everything goes smoothly. You get your dividends, you eat up the dividends, you good, and you give us a little ownership equity. Then that little money that we get, maybe you open up our own little shop in the summer, right around here, Fulton Street. Not right around here, Fulton Street. Well, I used to live near Fulton Street, right next to Barclays Center. They have little pop-up shops during the summer. There's one dude who wears these weird things where he creates like these crazy juices, and everybody comes to him. So you don't even need the ridiculous amount of capital. All you honestly need is volition. You had Cake Man on Fulton Street. He was well known, even though he wasn't paying his people. That's another story. You know what I mean? So I think our come up is going to be through money. It's going to be through that incentive, where it's like I said, we don't have the same religious dogma, the same cultural identity from our so-called ancestors, but we all live around each other, and we got to do business. We should be doing business with each other. You like Caribbean oxtail? Cool. Yo, I know how to make fried rice. It may not taste like the Chinese people's fried rice, but I can make some damn fried rice. We open up stores, we buy amongst each other. Or, yo, you know how to do nails? You know how to do mani-pedi? All right, that's cool. Yo, I'm going to open up this store. If you come in, I'll charge these people this. That's outside the community. But if you come and you do business with me, I'll charge you this. When you want to come and you want to get your hair supply, all right, I know this wholesaler. If you buy from him, he gives you good deals. But you got to buy from him. And that's how it works. That's how a lot of these people do. When these hair salons, these black cosmetologists, hopefully I said it right. When they buy, a lot of those middlemen, the Indian middlemen, they basically give each other deals. I was going out with a chick who used to buy, like she used to do wholesale, not wholesale, but she used to buy beauty supplies like weaves and stuff. And she said she knows for a fact that the prices that they charge, that they don't charge at the same price. That she knows people literally that buy from the same suppliers and they get better pricing because they are Indian.
Right.
So that's how you got to start thinking.
Exactly. And Jazz, I'm coming to you. And listen, we can all unmute. We can all unmute so that we can have a conversation about it. All right. We just don't want to talk over each other. All right. And if you got noise in the background, then you might want to keep yourself muted until it's time to talk. But Jazz, you want to jump in here? Oh, before you do, I do just want to say, and look, like you said, it could start in small factions in each city or each town or wherever it is, right? And then a long-term game, it builds up to something that's a little bit more national. However it starts, the strategy, I'm not putting out a strategy to do anything. I'm just saying this is an area we've got to get to. And it's very hard. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. But, developing our own educational, economic, legal systems and things like that is something that, we need to get to. Jazz?
To go back to the list that you posted, I had went to a seminar back in 2016. This influencer, his name is Dr. Patrick Isaac. He was teaching about the 7 systems in society. And that's government, arts and entertainment, education, family. You mentioned a lot of those things, religion, business, media. So it's these 7 systems. And we're wondering, how can we change and build solutions? And he was basically teaching people that if you have solutions, you can go into these sectors and implement change in these sectors so that change can come. That's the only way things will be able to change, as well as family and religion or businesses. Many ways. There's other ways for everybody to be able to implement in the earth alone. But if we don't take what we're getting, or your education, or what did you spend $35,000 a year for, to be able to go into these systems and change them. Being able to go in societal reform is what it's called, like being able to go into society and reform the world so that we can have better. We just don't have people in position and in places of power in order to do these things. You mentioned economic development and farming, and we talked about that yesterday. We touched on that yesterday, where we say, like, there are ways and advantages that we can do in order to implement and change or come together. Yeah, girls buy weed for $75, $85 a bundle, but let's be clear, on them chink racks, they about $3-4 a bundle. Okay, it's things that we can do to make change, but if we don't have knowledge, we don't educate ourselves and being able to want to do it. It's one thing with saying, oh yeah, this is what needs to happen, and then wanting to do it so that your people can come up. That'd be another thing. I feel like some of our people, okay, put it like this: if I got on a pair of shoes, I'm in the club, if somebody asks me where I get these shoes from, I'm going to tell them where I get these shoes from. Some girls, they're not going to tell you where they got their shoes from, especially if they got the hookup. So people don't want you to get their connect, if that makes sense sometimes. And that sometimes can come from a lot of different people. The white folk they able to work together. They work together. They keep it in the family. They're able to do that. We need to be able to do the same thing, and just be able to implement in these systems. So if you have a degree in education, these kids out here, they don't have computers. These kids are teaching. The lady was called in the other day and said that her son has not been educated since March. You know what I'm saying? The government is, of course, another major place where we need to be able to go to and be able to implement these systems. So arts and entertainment, using the platforms that we have to be able to reform. If we can't do that, then we have nothing. We don't have nothing. You need to be able to reform society, go in the systems, be able to implement change.
And now the question is though, do you try to change the system that's here, or do you work and build to start creating your own systems that are in your interest, right? Because white supremacy is very, very deeply rooted to the core, to the very seed of this country, right? To the very seed of the country. How do you change that when it's at the seed? It is at the seedling. It is buried in the dirt at the seedling. I don't know if you can change that.
The question is, will they give you a seat at the table?
But see,
they're not gonna give us a seat. So you got to be strategic. It has to be strategic. Everything has to be strategic. The way you move, everything should be strategic. There should be a plan. Like you write your goals down, you say, okay, I'm going into the education system and I'm going to plant seeds in these kids, especially the kids that don't have food at home or their daddy ain't at home. You got kids that are 3 and 4 years old at that time sleeping on other people's cots. Why? Because they see mommy do it with somebody else. So it's like, how can you change that? Just try to reform and be strategic before you go into work, whatever that there is. Have a plan. They're not going to give you a seat at the table. You got to be strategic to take it.
Okay. Anybody want to jump in here? Savvy?
Can I
tell me I'm wrong? I want you to because I'm a woman, don't make it seem. Tell me if you feel indifferent. I don't want nobody just agreeing with me. Tell me that for you're indifferent.
Oh, trust me, Jazz. I don't agree with anybody so easily. But no, I didn't have a problem with anything you said. I think it's sad as a life story to have that. Like, I'm starting to see why some people aren't invested in the movement, because it's like, if I don't have a woman or a set of loved ones or a child, then it's like, why, like, who am I looking out for? I might as well just play the game to win, do as best as I can for myself, and then enjoy my life as a bachelor until I pass away. I mean, why should I be living my entire life playing strategically my way through this rigged game? Like, I'm trying to win a game to reap the reward given by who? The people who rigged the game against me? Like, why am I going to bring a child in and teach him how to play the same rigged game that I've been playing my entire life trying to defeat? Like,
no, that's what they're doing. They're teaching your kids that. They doping your kids up with Adderall and all types of drugs to keep them so-called functioning.
I'm not responding to what you said, Jazz.
Okay.
I'm just making a commentary on the concept of I get it. I'm making a commentary on the concept of playing the game,
Okay.
right? Why do I like they get to just live. They get to just live, right? And the rules that's written down will be followed and executed as they're written, right? My entire mindset is I'm trying to break the game and end the game. I'm not trying to win the game. I'm not trying to play the game. Okay? I'm not trying to learn the strategy and get real good at the game. I don't want to be a star player or the MVP of the game, and I don't want to raise a child into a game that if you lose, you die. That's not fun to me, and it's not a good use of a life, honestly. And maybe I'm not positive enough to contribute at the moment, but I feel like anything that is not focused on dismantling the game itself is not going to bring us what we need. Like, all of this stuff is great, but all of it rests on the premise that our lives are not going to be disturbed by violence from the external.
So
Like, I
Savvy,
can build a great business, a great ecosystem, a great family unit, but then when the cop pulls me over, do I feel safe because I have money in the family and the community now?
right? And so Savvy. So my question is, you said anything, anything outside of, destroying the game. You said.
Yeah, and it's even and Sim, sorry.
But can you
sorry
even
to-
destroy? Can you even destroy the system to build it back up? I'm not sure that you can.
To build it back up,
I'm not sure that you can
mean,
destroy it.
I've never seen that happen before. And that's the predicament. Like, this stuff has gone on for so long, through so many pivotal moments in history. The power structure of white supremacy is strong enough to literally end the world, right? Through the nuclear proliferation of decades not too far from where we're living now, right? Okay, and who are the ones with their hands on the button, and how did they get that power? It wasn't by participating in any sort of a system. It was by destroying the system, by taking, by killing and taking. And we can't do that. No, of course not, right? And I agree, maybe rioting is not a solution, but just the rhetoric of that implies that rioting saw itself as a solution, right? Like, nobody goes to a riot thinking tomorrow I'm going to get the laws passed I wanted because I rioted yesterday. They riot because nothing works and I don't want to live here anymore. I have nothing. There's nothing to want here anymore, right? So I guess my contribution is, while we're playing the game, we need to be doing things and putting ourselves in a position to prevent tragedies that destroy our community. I feel like that's what I'm really trying to hit at. What's our tragedy response? What's our crisis response? How are we going to save lives? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it even kills me the fact that any solutions we have is going to be for other people who have not been hurt or killed by the system yet. Like, not killed by the system yet. Because if you've been killed by the system, then you're not going to benefit. Like,
Yeah, true, right? Yeah, no,
you know?
obviously,
And
if
I'm
you've
sorry
been,
I'm sorry to bring that tone.
no,
I'm sorry to bring that
but
tone.
it's true, it's true. Guillermo, I know you want to jump in there.
Yeah, I just now I just lost my train of thought. But come back to me. I'm gonna get it back. I literally
Okay.
lost my train of thought. My
Well,
bad.
I just want to leave it on a positive note, right?
All right.
Because I feel like
I got it.
gone down a grim path, and I feel like one thing that is missing from that list is self-defense.
That's the next one.
Okay, it's
That's the next one.
self-defense.
That's the
And
next one.
It's not just the. It's not just. It's
Hold
not
on,
just raising.
that's the
okay,
next
I'm
one.
sorry.
That's the next
All right.
one. That's the next one. We got it.
Okay, all right. I was waiting on it. Man.
That's
You
the
know
next
what I
one.
mean?
Go ahead, Guillermo.
That's what I'm trying to get.
I just want to say real quick, no one has been able to defeat the so-called. First and foremost, I'm not trying to say this is a debate. Let's stop calling it white supremacy, because none of this is supreme to me. Like, if this is what supremacy is, I mean, this has to be the lowest form. So this is not a wrestling place. We're not at our apex, but we just give a lot of power to that word. And are we behind the eight ball? Many things, yes. Have there been institutions against it? You're damn right. But I just feel sick in my stomach. I don't like that word whatsoever. It's like we give way too much power.
I feel you. But I don't think people are meaning it to say that they are supreme, that they have this belief, the white supremacy belief, that they are the supreme beings on earth.
Right. I understand that, but words have power. And when you keep saying that word, then it has that mindset that it defeats you. Like, and I see in the chat, it's like whenever you bring up certain things where it's like, hey, to bring yourself out of, it's like white supremacy. Well, put it like this. I'll say this. Black people are here. The level at which people are literally going to be coming at us and legit martial law and all that stuff because we're just way too successful and powerful, whatever, is here. We haven't gotten to the midway point of our potential, right? A lot of times you just mentioned something to Savvy, he's like, can we build outside the system? No one can build outside the system, right? You're talking about system, you're talking about the Federal Reserve, you're talking about, it's way deeper than what we're touching on. I don't want to touch on that stuff yet, but it's way deeper where the system where we're not getting out of that, right? No one gets out of that, right? When they talk about liberty is not freedom, because freedom is, you can do whatever the hell you want. Liberty is basically freedom within constraints. And people who have we don't have freedom. We're never going to get freedom in this system, right? But the thing about it is that, and no one will. But what every other group does, and I know people hate when I compare groups, but I'm going to do it. Every other group plays a game. If you look at it throughout time, every group has understood, we can't overtake this and that. We can't take this system. So they try to do things like mafias or that stuff, mobs and stuff. And obviously those things have been brought down. But what they did is that they integrate themselves like chess pieces within the system. Hey, I know that the police or whatever, I know we get so I'm a controller here. Oh, I know the bank, blah, blah, I'm a controller here. Oh, I know the food, blah, blah, I'm a controller here. And that's what every group is just doing. It's just trying to vie for small little spots. And unfortunately, Black people in America, we're here. And we have yet to say, you know what, F it. We know the game is messed up. You know it's not fair. But you're not getting reparations. And I'm not even talking about me. I call myself African American, whatever. But I know if they did reparations, I wouldn't, unless they're like, hey, just take blind money. I know I'm not going to get it. I know it's going to go to the African descendants of slavery, blah, blah, and it should go to them. And I'll go and support their businesses. If they use that money to build businesses, I'm going to go support that. I have no problem with that. But we all know we ain't going to get, there's not going to be any reconciliation for anything that's happened to us. So what you have to do is play the game. In their eyes, in the eyes of the game, is no right or wrong. It don't matter. They can kill as many Black people. What they did over there, what that piece of ish cop did over there, he knew he could get away with it. Or he felt he could get away with it. What they did, even the Arbery stuff, those guys did what they did because they felt they could get away with it, because they looked at us as they looked at us as the pawns in the chess piece. And we can sit and say everything, oh, that's messed up, man. And we're going to go out and riot and all that stuff. Well, let me tell you this. When you do all the rioting, all that stuff, is anything going to change? You're still going to be here in the game, and they're still going to be here in the game. Like you said, all those people that's telling you to do this and that those people, they're trying to play the game individually. These celebrities and stars, because like you said, I've heard David Banner, when he was in a conference in Atlanta, and I think Life Jennings was there, and he was like, y'all got to go out and take y'all guns. And Life Jennings said, bro, why would you tell people, I think it was Life Jennings or I can't remember who it was, but he said, why would you tell people to go out and shoot guns if you're not doing it? If you don't have the army, why would you tell these innocent people, these people who don't have the guns, don't have the money, do not have the resources, why would you tell them to do it? So
that's one of my biggest peeves, man. That's one of my biggest peeves.
And I'm not going back to what we talked about yesterday. That's why I'm on the other side of that, where it's like a lot of these guys, they get paid by certain people. A lot of people I've seen, the guys in the NBA that have taken those stances, or not stance of shooting people, kill people, but taking a stance where I'm going to put my job on the line, whatever. No one had their back. A lot of people that you see in today's game, a lot of these people are actors.
What we need to do is that you got to build it from a strategic standpoint. Yeah, okay, guys, if you go out and riot, yeah, it got your energy out. But also remember this: they have agent provocateurs out there. For anybody who's watching from Minneapolis, I know Marty Nix is from Minneapolis, so he's out there. Those people have agent provocateurs where they're literally scanning to see who are the people who they don't have employees who are rioting and doing all this destruction. And you know what? Like what happened in Ferguson, you might end up missing. Go and look at the protesters who are on the front line who are doing this from the sincerity of their heart, and they're dead. And no firebomb. Why would a protester who's doing this from the goodness of his heart? I think two of them, one of them at least got firebombed that I remember, and then three of them got killed mysteriously. So be very careful when all these things are happening. A lot of stuff is psyop stuff. You have to sit back and play this from the long game. Okay, these things are happening. Let us play the game. I know in your heart, I hate this, man. I hate them killing us. I hate them treating us like F. But look at where we are. We're pawns. We're not even knights. We're not even rooks on the board, bro. We have to fight this thing from a strategic level, and we haven't done that in years. And we haven't done that really in totality in a while. I'm not saying find a black side, whatever, but step back and don't let your emotions overtake you, because everybody else is playing this from a standpoint now. So last thing I'll say, because I know you want to go to other stuff, last thing I'll say is that look at what happened with the Peter Liang stuff. Peter Liang and Kai Gurley, I always say, just because I have so-called behind the scenes knowledge, just because my cousin worked for Jesse Hamilton, he knew stuff behind the scenes. When Kai Gurley got shot by Peter Liang, Ken Thompson, black DA, a guy that was so-called in that system individually, right? But he was getting paid from, obviously, his money wasn't just come from black people. He recommended 15 years prison time for that cop. When the Asian business owners of New York got on his ass and pressured him, he changed that from 15 years to 5 years probation when he was in the right. Those Asian people, and those people weren't related to Peter Liang, but they knew the power they had to make. They knew they had Ken Thompson, excuse my language, but they knew they had him by the balls, by the money, leverage, power.
Yeah,
we have to start thinking.
I feel you. I feel you. We got to think in the long run. Let me get to this last part, then we can finish the conversation. All right, because the last thing that I want to get to, and Savvy already brought it up. We talked about defense, right? Because if we have these things in our community, we talk, people are afraid that it's going to be taken. They're gonna come in, they're gonna bomb us because we grew another Tulsa. They're gonna come in, they're gonna bomb us. Well, then we need disciplined, organized protection. And I am gonna put an emphasis on disciplined. Right? If you look at the FOI, those are some disciplined brothers, man. Disciplined brothers. Disciplined and knowledgeable. So we need disciplined training of a group of people that will protect our communities or our neighborhoods, if you don't want to call it a community just as of yet. But if we're at this point, then yes, we have our communities. Disciplined training, right? And when I say discipline, I mean disciplined in their disposition and who they are. Disciplined. If you ever get a chance to see the fruits of Islam, see them. They are disciplined. Discipline training. Hands-on physical combat training. So that you can protect yourself in all kinds of situations. You can protect your neighbor in all kinds of situations. You can protect your neighborhood in all kinds of situations. Firearms training. And you can go get that too, because it's legal. Right? Know your laws so that you understand how you can do it in your state. Firearms training, so that they are trained to carry a firearm and use it responsibly to protect the people in our neighborhoods, the stores, the schools, the hospitals, banks. So they are trained to protect what's ours. Legal education. Yes, they don't need to be lawyers. I'm not saying they need to be lawyers, but they need to know the law as well.
Yep.
Because if not, listen, you're looking at all of this and we're still in this country. It's still in this country. Right? Because I was listening to someone speak last night and they talked about, you have little China, you have little Italy, and they developed their own little systems of commerce and things in that area. But guess what? While they are separate in geography, they're still part of the system because they're still paying taxes to the city. They're still paying taxes to the state. They're still paying taxes to the government. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. So it's still, and if we developed our own little section of the city, like really, not just a place that we're put because that's the only place we can afford, but we develop our own section of the city with our own commerce and we have our own protection there, you better believe they are still coming into our section of the city. And so we need to be educated with legalities.
Yes, sir.
You better believe it. Now, there are things, and maybe this is for a whole nother show, you can develop how you can develop your own sovereign nation right here in this country. There's I actually have a whole book on how you do it. That's a whole nother show. Right? It's a whole nother show, but it is a tidbit of a conversation I want to get into tonight. And then, of course, they need to be trained to work with people, right? Because people come from all different walks of life. They deal with a lot of issues in and out of their household, and you've got this discipline training and physical combat training and firearms training, and the people that's in your community still, I don't care how strong your community is, your people are, there's going to be issues, and people are going to deal with issues. And sometimes it's going to fester out into the street or fester out to here, this place or that place. Your protectors need to know how to work with those kind of people so that they don't just automatically go to their firearm or go to their physical combat training. You got to know how to work with those kind of people because they're going to be in your community. But we need protectors like this. We need protectors like this. And anyone who just joined us, please feel free to go back and look at everything that we talked about from the beginning of self-love, knowledge of self, all the way up to the point that we are now when we talk about solutions for Black empowerment. Please go back and look at it all. Because if you're just joining us here, I don't want you to think, well, this is the only thing that we've been talking about, because we're talking about a lot here. And I'm hoping that people see this video, and I'm going to have it marked out where people can actually see where things are. I'm hoping they see this video, right? Because, tonight, only about 60 people got in the chat. So I'm hoping that it gets out to people because I want people to hear and see what I'm saying. And I'm not saying I'm right about all of this, but it's a starting point, and it's a point for you to start to think maybe something switches on somewhere. But yes, we've got to protect our own because this is the root of the problem that we have right now today. Got to protect our own. Anybody want to comment there?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. First of all, anybody coming to this video and seeing what's on the screen right now who has a problem with it, forget you. Forget you. Okay? We're solving some community problems right now. You got a problem with it? Get out. That's it. It's not my channel, but that's my take. Okay. I have a lot of curiosities about the sovereign nation topic, but like you said, we will save that for a different time. My thing is this. We need to normalize certain things in the culture. bring it into the fun. You feel me? Because we all love a good time. I go to the gun range. I live in the state of Florida. Luckily, it's a joke of a state when it comes to gun laws. I can get it's easy. You know what I mean? But certain states are strict, and you do need to know your laws. Even though my state is very lax, I know my laws in my state. I practice. I go to practice, and I have to hunt around to find a place to go where I can spend my money and it doesn't leave the community. And I just found one for the first time in my entire life right now. So that means every dollar I spent practicing has gone out of the community, which is why I only go on certain occasions where I feel like I need to sharpen on certain concepts, right? Now, moving on from that, when I get to the facility, I see that there is a man of a certain complexion. There is a woman of the same complexion with that man. And there is a child of the same complexion with that man and woman. And this is a family affair that we're having, right? We make it into a family thing, right? That's how you build culture. Okay? You bring things into the good time, into the normalcy, into the family unit. Okay? When they were having their lynch mobs back in the day and making postcards, you saw children at the fair posing with the lynched bodies because this is a part of the culture. This is what we're about. Okay? We need to be the same way. When we go to do things to empower ourselves and our people, we need to include the children, include the women, facilitate the women, okay? And anybody who does not have a clear skill set or clear potential to protect themselves needs to be called out and brought into the fold. And listen, we're going to show you some things so that when we're not around, you can do some things to protect yourself. Okay? We need to be offensive with our solutions. We need to take it into the community. We can't wait for people to enroll in this. Okay? We need to go visit people. Do you know your gun laws? Okay? Do you know, have you fired a weapon? Have you ever been incarcerated? Do you still have your legal rights to a firearm? If not, we will help you specialize in non-projectile weaponry. Okay? If these are all satisfied, okay, physical combat, okay, hand-to-hand combat. Do you know how to defend yourself? Do you know how to use mace? Do you know how to use a taser? Okay? These things need to be instituted and pushed the same way we're trying to promote our businesses and our passions and our things that build our clout and make us seem cool in the neighborhood. We need to push that just like we're pushing all of those things, because this is something I do personally. I see people all the time who seem to be going about their lives just fine, and I have something going on for me that I want for them, and I just approach them. I'm like, yo, have you thought about this? Have you done this? Have you ever tried this, approached it, thought about it? Because sometimes you got to just plant the seed in somebody's head. A lot of people never saw themselves going to a gun range for fun, and then they go for the first time, and now they like it. They had a bad idea about what guns stood for and what guns were, but now they're comfortable around them and they know how to use them. You feel me? And so I feel like that is something that could definitely bring immediate help. And one thing that could tie into the business aspect is if we are able to gain enough capital to build an ecosystem and a community where we're actually in close proximity, where we can institute certain community block watches, okay? Certain armed and unarmed security at events where we don't feel comfortable having the police, okay? Because a lot of police make their overtime as private security at businesses and nightclubs and other things like that, and a part of our response to them needs to be cutting into that money that they're getting, paying getting paid overtime for.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
they're earning capital. Okay, through our events, especially hip hop events. Okay, working the door, working security. All right, and then it could be that same hip hop artist whose show he was working, who he's gonna pull over and crack his head open next time he sees him. Okay, so we need to bring our own into the fold, and we have a lot of capable people who have been through some things, who have lost their rights because of incarceration, who have a very vast skill set of capabilities that have not been valued by certain segments of our community, but they can still be put to work and be put to positive impact for our people, just like anybody else.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, brother. Great. Those are some beautiful solutions. I especially love, you know, what you're talking about. You know, with having blocks and neighborhood watches and blocks and neighborhood watches on the blocks in our neighborhoods and things of
Absolutely.
our armed individuals and unarmed individuals that are working together in one unit. Man, that's yeah, loving it. Let me get to a phone call right quick and then open it back up to you guys because I want to talk about. There's two other things I want to get into. Spend a couple minutes on separation because we hear a lot of people talk about separating but staying within the country. I want to talk about that. Then I want to talk about, like we kind of brought up earlier, you know, these people, leaders, so-called leaders, that tell us to go out and do this and do that, but they're not really putting their foot where their mouths are. And I'll get into it. Caller, you're live on the front stoop. What's popping?
Yeah, sure. I'm calling from Minneapolis. I like Mark Jackson because Mark Jackson is going to put people in the seats, and he will bring free agents there that want to.
Brother, this is the wrong show. We're not talking about the New York Knicks right now. We're not talking about the New York Knicks right now. I'm sorry, my man. I had to let you go, bro. We're not talking about the New York Knicks is the farthest thing from my mind at the moment, brother. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man.
What?
I'm sorry, my man. The New York Knicks.
That man knew what he was doing.
Oh man.
Yo, for those who don't know, I do a show on the New York Knicks, but that's neither here nor there right now. All right. Anybody want to respond to discipline, organized protection of our communities, man?
I'll say something. I do feel that women should definitely go and get their FOIA card. At least to have, if you don't want to carry it, at least to be able to have it in the house is very important. Most of the men in my family was in the service, so when I ended up starting to move a little bit further away from the family, that was one of the main things that they did. I mean, I don't know what some of you all's cities in the state laws that there is, but it's only 16 hours to sit in a class. And I really feel that women should definitely be able to license to carry. I think that's been not a fad, but lately I've been seeing a lot of like pictures on social media with families where the women and the kids have guns and like they feel like at this point everybody's at war. But that's not neither here nor there, and I don't want to go into that. But I do feel that women should definitely be licensed to carry. For protection, whether you got a man in the house or you don't. Everybody, if you got a man in the house, your husband, boyfriend, baby daddy, sugar daddy, whatever you want to call him, you should be able to know how to at least use it when he's not present or if he is present. I think it's very important.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Freezy, you want to jump in? You want to jump in it?
Yeah, I think some solutions we may look at doing is maximizing our spending potential. I think it solves all of that stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Because you go to war and you fight with people, but you fight with them for a reason. Like you don't just go just for the exercise and just to hurt people. You do it because you want something. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't separate yourself, you know what I'm saying, from others because, you know, you just want to be separate. You separate yourself because you want something. And I think if we are smarter about the way we spend money, our money, and the people that we spend it with, then what we want will be easier to obtain. Like for instance, man, I bought a pair of red Jordan 11s, right? My size, man, $300 something, Sim. $300 something, right? How many times did I wear those shoes? I had them for 4 months. Never. I never wore those shoes outside my house, right? But if I had saved that money, put that money away, and used it for something else, then now you're talking about me maximizing, you know what I'm saying, the money that I have. But for instance, Black people spent, I think it's 2015, I think Black people spent over $2 billion in arts and entertainment, right? Man, can you imagine what we would do if the government sent that community back $2 billion? Do you imagine what we can do in our community with money like that? And I say that to say this. Now, withholding that brings people to the table because people want that money. So now instead of saying, listen, I don't have anything to offer, I just want to talk to you about the injustices in our community. And behind my back, they'll be like, so what? But if I say, hey, man, listen, I'm not going to use public transportation. I'm not going to spend that money at your local Walmart. What we'll do, we're just going to hold on to our money and grow our own food and something like that until y'all respect us as a people. And then now you got people thinking like, well, we can't just, you know what I'm saying, let them hold that money to themselves because our community depends on money from their community. Now you have people listening and such. You know what I'm saying? I think what we have to do.
Now, I was going to say, so let's move this into, you know, I think we know, listen, we got to have protection over our communities, right? And we've got to learn, we got to know that we can protect ourselves. Because any man, any woman, your natural inclination is to protect yourself. So if somebody's coming at you, badge or not, you have the right to protect yourself.
Right.
And point against us too.
But you know what though, as a man, going back to the first thing you said, as a man, you know, I'm a protector by nature. I'm protecting my woman. I'm protecting my family, my seeds. You know what I'm saying? That is what I'm groomed to do. I'm put here to have dominion over some stuff and protect everything that I touch. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think we lose that in some of the conversations that we have. We get so angry at stuff, but at some point we have to start pointing the finger at us. We can't point the finger at everything moving and not, you know, point the finger at it. Like, what is Uncle Freezy going to do? Right.
Well, that's part of the reason why we're looking at, how do we look at empowering ourselves? You know what I'm saying? One thing I want to look at, right? I want you to look at U.S. Code. Well, you don't have it to look at, but just listen to what I'm saying. You can go back and listen to it in this video. 18 U.S. Code 2331. The definition of domestic terrorism. The term domestic terrorism means that you're involved in acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state that appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. But really, let's focus on to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Because when you look at what these police are doing to our people, they fit the definition of a domestic terrorist. In America, we want to eradicate terrorism, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Eradicating terrorism. That's what they say. We're going to eradicate terrorism, international or domestic. Well, we have some domestic terrorists right here, bringing harm on one group. And we've got the right to defend ourselves from this terrorist. So know the gun laws of your state. And if you are able, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Because at the moment, we do not have our own form of organized protection. So you've got to protect yourself. But you got to do it legally. And you can't just go around popping caps in people, though. That's not what we're saying to do. You're not just going to walk around just anytime you see somebody in blue, pop a cap in them. That's not what we're saying to do. We're saying to protect yourself.
You do more harm than good that way.
Exactly.
Right.
We're saying protect yourself.
You're going to get a lot of brothers hurt. Sorry if we
we also need to know what to do and what to say in certain events. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get pulled over by the police, man, you can't reach for your weapon. You reach for your weapon, that'll be the last time you reach for your weapon.
Exactly.
Right.
Period. But you can, man, innocent bystanders are watching. You can communicate to them and they can communicate back to you and to police. And you know what I'm saying? And people, we pull out our phones and stuff, which, you know, has been a good thing for us, because a lot of times these actions and things have been undocumented. They happen everywhere, USA, unfilmed. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for the Rodney King thing, I think people probably would not have even thought about recording these events, right? What we need to do is, and I'm not saying be passive, I'm saying be smart, because the main thing everybody wants to do is to leave a police interaction safe, right? So we need to learn how to speak to and say trigger words that stops this moment of violence in its tracks. Because what happens is these things are not long, pronounced 40-minute episodes. These things happen in, like, you know, somewhere between 60 to, you know, 300 seconds, like the mayor of Minnesota said. You know what I'm saying? We need to learn how to say certain things so people can back off this aggression and we can survive these interactions, so that we can go to the police station the next day or same day and report what's happening to us in a manner in which people listen.
No, definitely feel you, man. I definitely feel you there. Gammo, you want to jump in?
I was gonna say. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry. One of my solutions, and I mentioned yesterday, especially if you have Black businesses, is to employ some of these people who are so-called what people see as bottom of the rung, right? So there are a lot of people out there who they need to be rehabilitated, and obviously prison doesn't do that. And rehabilitated, I mean, as in reincorporated into society. I've gone to school at CMU in Pittsburgh, where literally they have programs where they employ people come out of prison, but obviously, you know, those programs aren't necessarily universal all over the U.S. So I think what some of these especially Black, what I'm talking about Black businesses, what they need to start doing is that they need to start employing some of these so-called gangsters, some of these people that have been in a life, and even these young kids, some of these young kids who can't find summer jobs, they resort to the gang life because, hey, let me do this jukes real quick, make some real money. Let me sell a few packs real quick. You know, let me get some of that money. And a lot of times the people in the neighborhoods don't really look to them and say, hey, let me employ this kid, whatever, because, you know, he's a hoodlum. So it's kind of like I don't say it's not a catch-22, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you anoint this kid because it looks a certain way, you know, maybe he doesn't have, you know, the proper hygiene, whatever, just because he comes from a broken home, you know, I'm going to treat him like he is that. You know what I mean? I wonder, and I'm not trying to go up into much of a tangent, but one of the guys, even though it was a fictional in The Wire, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was season 4 when they did the season from the kids, you know, remember the kid who became a heroin addict at the end?
Yeah.
And he was homeless then. Why? Dookie. It's not Bugs. Bugs was the main addict who reformed his life, but Dookie. It was Dookie. And his trajectory just hurt me. And that dude, all he was looking for was someone to help guide him. And he had that teacher, but remember the teacher, he couldn't really like adopt or whatever, because like his wife was kind of whatever. But he was like, he used to give the kid a place to wash his clothes, to take a shower, gave him a computer to work on. And that kid, his outlook on life was like, yo, hey, I may have nothing at home, but yo, there's somebody that believes in me. And obviously, when they forced the kid to go into, I think it was into the 9th grade or whatever, and he didn't have that connection anymore with the teacher, that's when he fell down into, the life of her, when he fell down to what his surroundings were. And a lot of these kids out here who join these gangs, what I mean, once you kill, I'm not saying I've done it, but once you get your first body, man, because some OG told you to do it, that's it. It's on your conscience. Now you got to live that, like, your head is messed up until maybe you try to reform yourself. So many times these kids, hey, you give them a job, hey, protect this block, these block of businesses at night. I mean, I'm not saying you should have a gun, but, let me know if something's happening. Or you know what, even better, and people might kill me for this, I'm not a guy who likes police, whatever, blah, blah. But one thing you can have, because there are good police, like the police who are suing the NYPD, they call them the NYPD 6 or NYPD 12, whatever. Those guys are like, yo, I couldn't do the stop and frisk anything anymore because it was morally wrong. And they're suing the NYPD for it. You know what I mean? There are some police who are human who will talk to you like you're human, who aren't going to pull the gun on you. I'm not saying it happens. Obviously, a lot of bad police. But there are policemen, and I would look to see if you can in your community be a liaison. Because what I want is that I want us to have, just like they have in certain communities, Jewish communities, where they basically have their own police. I want us to have our own police in some of these places where they serve as a liaison, where obviously we don't have the prisons or the jails. Obviously, you send them to whatever the state, if there's somebody perpetrating in a neighborhood. But I want it so that when people are walking around, young women and young men, and this will help establish a community, when they see figures of authority, they see Black people who they can trust, who they know aren't going to do some foul issue in the community. We had things like the Black Panthers, we had the Deacons of Defense back in the day, and some of those institutions are no longer there. We need to rebuild that back up. So one, you're protecting the community, you're protecting these businesses, so people aren't coming in, and people within your own community aren't messing up what you're trying to build. And two, you have people who now can see Black men and Black women as paragons, as figures of strength, especially Black men, because the Black figure and the Black male figure in the Black family is so weak right now. We need people to see us as paragons of strength and paragons.
I agree with what Guillermo said. And communities that care, I'm gonna just say it like that, they do exactly what Guillermo just said. As a matter of fact, the priority in hiring in police departments in my area, the priority is hiring people that live in this community and people know. And there's a vesting process done when these cats are hired. So it's like, if you hear, did you have a good background, or is this just a job? Are you like a dude from like 4 counties over looking to pay bills and such? And so I agree with what Guillermo was saying. Here, people have, instead of, complaining all the time, on social media, we've gone to these political forums and stated our case, saying, hey, this is what we expect going forward. We want people from our community policing our community, people that we know are even-tempered, right? Even-tempered, and know people around here, and people know them. And so we don't have actions like we had one stupid action from around here probably in like the last 20 years. And it was just a case of somebody who was just offset mentally. But I think that is the fix. If other communities do that, hire people in your community that you know. You don't put people of authority in important places if you don't know them or don't know their backstory. That's the most ridiculous thing you would ever hear. And it's places like Florida, for example. I know for a fact they hire dudes. They give jobs away in law enforcement, and then you have all these weird things going on. And not even the documented stuff. I'm talking about the undocumented stuff. Police stops, people harass you half to death just because you out at 2 a.m. It's your right to be out 2 a.m. as long as you are doing things
Detroit.
Right. As long as you're doing things in a lawful manner, then it's your right to be wherever it is, if you're not breaking the law.
Nah, no doubt about it. Couple of things. I want to go into just a couple of things. I know time is late. But I want to go into a couple of things. One, a lot of talk. I hear a lot of talk all the time. A lot of places I read, listen to, and whatever it is about separation, being separate, right? Here's my thing. There's only one way to be completely separated from the United States of America. One way.
To leave.
Is to leave. That is the only way. When I hear someone say, we could be separate right here in America, you can't. There is no way. There is no way, in my opinion. You cannot be separate right here in America. Right? Yes. Little China, little Italy, all these places, they got their own commerce and all that stuff. We want to have that. But just because we have that does not mean that we're separate from the system here in the United States of America. Right? You're not separate from the system. Like I said earlier, you're still part of that city. You just have a section of that city. Right? And you can get, listen, I was listening to someone last night that said, we have enough money and with black people in America to be able to start our own banks, farms, da-da-da. You're probably right. Probably right. But in the end, who's backing the money that's inside those banks?
Yep.
If you're not in another country, if you are not outside of America, who is backing that money? Whose gold is backing that money? United States of America. So you are still within the system. You cannot be separate and in America. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't want any of these so-called leaders out here to fool you to thinking that because we established a section of the city where we have our businesses, and I'm not saying don't do this. I'm just saying I want you to go in with your eyes wide open. Don't think because we have our section of the city that you're now separated from the system. You're not separated from the system. You're still part of it. We just have our own thing going on, right? We just have our own community working for us, but you're still part of it. So when you get a loan from that bank, start your business, and then the government raises the interest rates, and you say, well, I thought that we were separate. Why are my interest rates going up? It's because you're not separate. You're still part of the system. And so all these groups out there, even the Nation of Islam, that has their own farms, their own stores, all of that. Someone from the Nation of Islam is listening, speak up. Tell me different. But if you're paying taxes to the United States of America, then you are part of the system. You can say that you are not participating, but you are. Say that again.
And you're gonna get taxed again if you create another jurisdiction. You'll get taxed again. So you're talking about. So now you're not a part of the city. Say you're in a certain section of the city. So now you're in that jurisdiction to get taxed. Then the city get taxed. Then the county get taxed. And the state taxed. And the federal tax.
Yeah.
Who want to go through that? That's just like.
The thing is, I just don't want people. I want people to go in. Listen, there's a lot of people out here, and this kind of goes into the next thing I want to talk about. There's a lot of people out here that's going to talk and say a lot of stuff. Right? They're going to say, yeah, go out here and do this. Go out here and do that. Right? Go out here and swing your hammer at one of these dudes. But see, they're talking from a distance. Let's put it like that. They're talking from a distance. Because all these people that are saying, let's do this, let's do that, we got to do this, we got to do that. Well, where are the plans? I was listening to someone last night, and they said, yeah, we got to do this and do this and do this. But don't talk to my leader, because my leader said this a long time ago. Well, where is the plans, though? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you have to, everyone is going to follow you, but if you are saying that these are things that we've got to do, then put the proof in the pudding, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's not just follow somebody because they said this is what we have to do. Like, I want to see the proof in the pudding. I'm not going to say to anybody to do something that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to tell you go out there and throw a bottle through that store window if I'm not going to go throw a bottle through the store window. If I'm going to tell you to do it, I'm going to be there with you. And so I see a lot of people in the chat, and people in the chat, please don't take offense to this. But I see people in the chat and all over the place that's saying, this is the solution. But let me ask you, are you ready to take part in that solution? If you are not ready to take part in that solution, Don't say that this is the solution. I see people say that, yes, we need to be separate. Well, let me ask you this. If you think we need to have a separate nation, are you ready to give up all of your belongings, that house that you just bought? Are you ready to give it up so that you can go to that separate nation and start again?
Right.
Are you ready to do that? Are you really ready to give those things up? Answer me that question.
Yep.
Right? Somebody asked me last night, I think it was Nate, and I'm not coming at Nate. He said, when are people, do you think people are going to start attacking the cops, this and that, and this and that? He didn't say to do it. He just asked the question. But then I seen people in the chat say, yeah, that's what we need to do. You tell me, whoever said, yes, that's what we need to do. You tell me, if you're standing by the side of the road and you see a cop getting ready to do it, are you going to go attack that cop? Are you really going to do it, or are you just talking? Because one thing I hate is for somebody to say all these things, but they're not really going to do it.
They're not going to do nothing.
They're not about that business. You know what I'm saying? And it bothers me because there's a lot of leaders out here that, see, they feel safe in saying things that have to be done because they know. Okay. Let me say it like this. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to want to separate from this nation. If you want to separate from this nation, like my man JJP said, he said he's out of here. He's making a plan to get out of here. That's the only way to separate from this nation. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Right? This nation gives us a lot of pain. Gives us a lot of pain. But you got a lot of people who will stand up before you and say, get out of go ahead and leave the country and go start a life here. Or we gotta separate. That is the only way to solve our problems. And I'm not saying it's not. Don't get me wrong. I want you to understand what I'm saying here. That will sit up there and say separating is the only way to solve our problems and this and that and this and that. But they say it because they know it's not going to happen. Or it may not happen. Or there's a very good chance it's not going to happen. So they can sit up there and look very good in front of you. But they're not going to put in the work to really make it happen. So let's not be fooled by these people. I don't want to be fooled by them. I don't want you to be fooled by them because they're not going to stand up there and actually make it happen. They're going to stand up there and talk because they know that they can talk, and 2 weeks from now, what they said is forgotten.
Right.
And there's no real plans to put it in place. They can make themselves look good.
Right.
Right?
All these people is having too much fun to do any real action. Let's be real.
Look, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to put things out there that I know that I can do. I'm being real with myself. I can do this, so yeah, I'll ask you to do it because I can do it too. And if you can't do it, maybe I can help you to be able to do it. But I'm willing to sacrifice this to do that. Don't say that you're willing to sacrifice things if you're not willing to sacrifice. Just be real. If your part of the role is just to share something on Twitter, well, then that's your part. If your part is just to mentor somebody, then that's your part. Be real about it.
I'm so glad you said that, Simeon. Right. Can we take a moment to talk about roles?
Yeah, let's take a moment to talk about roles.
Let me say something. I just want to interject something. So I know there's a lot of people that say that we should be separate from this country because of the tragedies and such. But there's a section of us that, and I'm pointing to myself, right, that have, served this country in the military and, did other stuff, saying for this country, right? Because I think the country belongs to all of us. There are injustices and such. And sure, sometimes things don't go our way. And it seems like our community gets dealt, a bad hand, right? But for me, my perspective is I want to give my life serving to make things right in our communities, starting with the people that I know live around me and expanding that forward. You know what I'm saying? I have relatives that served in wars, for this country so that we can have certain things, given to us and such. Right. The whole getting separate thing is such a big Pandora's box. Like, who's going to protect us if we become separate? You're right. Like, who's going to start an army? What kind of politics are we going to have? What kind of government are we going to have? There are so many different things that to me it's unimaginable. Moving, and that's not and I'm saying this as somebody that has gone to different lands and done things for this country. You know what I'm saying? So that people back here can stay safe. Jumped out of airplanes in places that I probably couldn't find on a map again. You know what I'm saying? Just so that we can do chats like this and chop it up about problem solving. And to hear somebody say, well, let's get 47 million people and find us a piece of land so that we can become a separate nation, to me, that's mind-boggling to me. I mean, because logistically, it's a nightmare. You talking about it's too much stuff. What we should do is start with brotherly love, like what me and Savvy D and Guillermo have for each other, like in these conversations and stuff. Like, I look forward to talking to Guillermo on these things because I know even though we disagree on some stuff, that's still my man. Same thing with Savvy D. You know what I'm saying? Savvy D, we might not agree on everything, but there's a brotherly love and a connection between all of us. And I say brother, and that's for you too,
Ancestrally as well.
I don't know you. Right. It's one of those things. We speak these things from our heart. This is where, in my opinion, we need to start with, because a lot of times what we do is we have brotherly love. Somebody will come disrupt it, and we allow that fool to disrupt the love that's in the area. You know what I'm saying? And let it rock for the sake of not for the sake of looking cool or whatever. All that stuff, man, needs to be out the window. All these, man, we get on and we chop it up, and these people in the chat, that hit us up with remarks and stuff. King NG, MH, JN, Tribal, everybody, we show love to each other because we want to push this thing forward, man. That's what I think we need to start with.
Hey, Sadie?
I'm with it. I'm with it, Freeze. And I feel the same way. And I wanted to say this about roles, right, in the Black community. When we're raising our children, we need to nurture all of their natural tendencies. We need to not push them away from things because we would prefer them to be in other things, okay? Because we need to nurture the natural tendencies of people. We need to do the same with our friends and our peers in the community who we might not agree with them philosophically. We might not agree with their lifestyle choices. We might not agree with how they present themselves, but they are Black-skinned people with rights, and they're human beings too, and they have a contribution to make to the Black table. And we need to embrace them. We need to build them up. We need to make sure that they are prospering and okay, and they are respected and supported before we even get into any sort of a virtual debate about how they're living their lives compared to how we feel like they should be living their lives. And when we do that, we can get people falling into their roles as need be. People are looking at life like there's only 3 different archetypes of a Black man to be, right? And they're looking at it like, I can't be the tough guy. Okay, I can't be this guy, and I can't be this guy, so I can't contribute, so I just gotta look out for me, right? And that's not true. It doesn't matter what you're into. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are a Black person and you are a part of the community, we will nurture you, embrace you, and we will build you up so you can play your role. Now let's talk about the roles, right? When you're talking about social media warriors, they got a role to play. Some people need to gather and spread information, gather and share information. Except for, rather than just doing useless information, why don't you go and spend this time that you have free researching on the protocol for an internal affairs investigation to be open in this certain district, right? Go tweet that information out, right? I don't know who it was that went and found the address of this cop's house, but the person went and gathered that information and then shared it. Okay, they play the role, all right, and everybody could play a role. So we got people that's gonna be willing to go out and step out and actually get their hands dirty, right? Then we're gonna have people who stand with the books, giving us the prescription of knowledge that we need to be focusing on during our meetings, in our schools. Okay, everybody could play a role. And they do not have to be the stereotypical roles that have been laid out for you thus far.
That's it. That's it, man. That's it. Anybody else want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick on the celebrity stuff, man, because what I've seen with a lot of these celebrities, especially artists, what they do is that they put the battery in the back. Again, whoever pays them controls them. And I've seen some of these, what I feel is that what they do is that they put the battery in your back to do something that they won't do. And then when you die or something happens to you, they make a song about you and they make money off of you. Yeah. A lot of these artists, they're vultures in terms of they feed off of death. They love death. You know, how many artists do we see, oh, this guy died, yo, that was my dude, and they make some song about them. But when this dude was alive, you weren't trying to get this dude into rehab. You weren't trying to stop him from popping the pills and doing drugs. So that's why I have this is me personally, I'm just talking from my perspective, I have a very averse perspective on artists outside of the music itself. I can enjoy them for the music. You know, I've seen, guys like T.I. This is a guy who opened up a trap museum, where he's basically glorifying the degradation of black communities. Mind you, he also snitched on his partners about the guns, and then he wants to sit here and talk about black this or black that. So what you have to do when you hear people saying all these things, you have to be a little bit cynical and skeptical of what they're doing. Because think about this. These guys, a lot of people, even the Farrakhans, they have the resources to do some of the stuff they talk about they want to do. They have the resources to do it, and they're really that radical, right? But they haven't done it. So why are they telling you? Because they know that you're a pawn. They know that they can go and do it. Now you have, people like Al Sharpton. Now he's going out to Minneapolis. A lot of people are making money off of our pain. And it's not just people, white people, blah, blah. We have a lot of people within our own so-called diaspora who they don't look at us. What we're doing now, they don't look at this as anything. They'll use our pain. They'll use our death to make money. They'll go and organize marches, do whatever, and they'll make money from that. They'll get people to donate and not do anything with the money. And we have to be a little bit more skeptical of some of these Hotep hustlers, some of these vultures from both sides who are taking advantage of our pain.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with you.
So just be wary when someone's putting the emotional charge in your back to do something.
Yes, yeah,
a lot of
right.
They'll get a young boy to go and do a murder that they wouldn't do, and now that boy has bodies on his conscience. He goes to prison, and you in prison 30 years. Yo, don't snitch, don't do all this stuff, blah blah, because you have to live the street code. Meanwhile, that dude just told a young boy who had a future ahead of him to go and shoot somebody that he had beef with.
Yeah, and yeah, Guillermo, listen, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. The only thing that I would say, and like my guy Reza, and as you know, as you can see, I like this guy. But like Savvy said too, everyone has a role, and people can play their role. And when we talk about the establishment of some of the things that we need in our community, like banks or other forms of economic empowerment, some of these entertainers have the money, and that can be their role.
Exactly.
That can be their role. Hold on. That can be their role. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you follow them, but you make them responsible to their community. Okay? All right? You know what? You are taking advantage of all of the ills of our community. And it's very hard to get them to do this because if they clean up our communities, then there's nothing for them to talk about. They can't talk about the street that they were back on, right? They can't talk about it. Okay. So it's very hard because then when they say, yeah, I was on such and such block, and people look at that block, well, that block don't look too bad. You know what I mean? But
we stay now.
Right.
Oh, it's Disney World now.
Yeah, right. But that can be their role. Everybody has a role that we can play. But like Gamble just said, we got to be careful of these fake leaders that's out here that really are just taking advantage of the pain to push themselves up and saying things. I was watching a movie, and this is a white guy that I'm talking about. I forgot it. I was watching a movie, and it's about this white communist way back in the 1920s who wrote movies.
Karl Marx?
No, not Karl Marx. Not Karl Marx. Guy here in America. He wrote movies, right? And they were getting ready to go to the Supreme Court, right? Because whatever the case was, they were going to get ready to go to the Supreme Court. And one guy was like, "Listen, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to fly back and forth to D.C. I don't have the money to stay in the hotels. I got to make sure my family's eating because my wife is going to leave me." Well, one dude, he was rich, right? The main guy, the main character. He said, "Don't worry, I got you. I'm going to pay for it all." Right? Mm-hmm. But one thing he said, see, because the guy was saying something to him, he said, "I can speak and I can take chances because I'm rich." Right? I'm rich. I can go to court. I can say all these things because I know it's not going to happen. So I can be the liberal and not worry about my pockets. He didn't say those exact words, but, he said a sentence that said those things. Right? He said, one phrase that said those things. I can do all of that and say all of these things because I know it's really not going to affect me. And there's a lot of people out there that's like that. They can say all these things and try to push people to do all of these things so that they look good. They look like the rebel. They look like the revolutionary. But they're making you go out there and do all the revolutionary work while they sit behind a microphone. And hey, I'm sitting behind a microphone, but I'm going to be out there doing anything that I said that I'm going, anything that I asked you to do. If I ask you to mentor, you better believe I'm going out and mentoring. If I ask you to go talk to some people in the prison, you better believe I'm there too. Not right now, not during COVID-19, but I'm there too.
Hey, the difference here, Sim,
right? So you talking about
we all got a journey that brought us to the mic that didn't take us away from the struggle. You feel me?
Right.
Some you referring to cats like Rush Limbaugh, right? Like Rush Limbaugh, listen, I think he get like the listenership is like 7 million people a day, and he tell people to go out everything that is counter bringing people together. He'll say it, like he say derogatory things about our communities, like people are lazy, and the reason we shouldn't get stimulus checks because we hadn't earned anything and paid any taxes and things like that, But he would say, it's a shame that hardworking people have to support others with stimulus money when those people don't do anything, referring to the divide between races.
But I'm not even talking about people, listen, people like Rush Limbaugh, they're going to bring up that divide and all that. I'm talking about leaders and people who push you to go out, protest, march, do all of these things, shoot a cop, attack a cop. But they're doing it from behind a podium. They're telling you to do it, but they're not going out there to do it themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Right.
That is a problem to me. People who feed these grandiose ideas, but they're not actually about it. You know what I'm saying? They act like they're about it. They seem like they're about it. You want to believe them, but you don't see them out there doing nothing.
And just real quick on that, Sim, is that my biggest thing is that if they follow who pays them, you know what I mean? if they wanted, if whoever pays the LeBrons or whatever, if they want them to go out there and promote, just pick some random transgender. I'm not even get on transgender. I'm not shit on it. I'm just saying, go out there support transgender. Go out there support Sikhism. They'll do it. They will do it so they're preaching to us and they need our validation because obviously we're the consumers, right? If we are not paying people, you can't control them because I don't even say control. Humans work off of incentive. And it goes back to my culture argument. Incentive, right? If you back in other cultures, the Chinese cultures, African cultures, Spanish cultures, Moorish cultures, they would use things like even in England, when the church was ruling, Catholic and the Protestant, if you didn't follow certain things that they said for you to do as a community, you would get ostracized. No one would talk to you. Social life would be zilch. You'd be ostracized. You'd be a pariah, right? That was their leverage. Nowadays, obviously, it's money, right? If LeBron James, like when, for instance, Rihanna, even though she didn't get punished for it, she put on a post on Twitter that said, "Free Palestine." And you know who pays her? As soon as that post went up, she took that post down with the quickness because of right? If you do not, and I don't say control because I don't want to make people just seem like they're just dead idiots. But if you're not directly paying, now we consume their stuff, so it goes through whatever middle with the owners and stuff, right? If you're not directly paying these people, you cannot bank on the leverage outside of, hey, I'm not going to support these people anymore, right? You can't bank on that. And
but see, I'm not even talking about. I'm not even talking about people in the entertainment industry. I'm talking about people that are getting up and speaking to us and rallying our energy.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about them. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and even some of those people get paid not even directly by us. Even you can argue now. I mean, they leech off of us, but the thing about it is that even when we pay them per se, some of these so-called, I call them demagogues, but if you want to call them leaders, go ahead. I don't give a damn. They don't even get paid. They get paid from, say, endorsements, right? So, for instance, right, a person like I don't know if people follow him. I'm not trying to issue him. If you follow him, whatever. But a person who's been out as a snitch, like Al Sharpton, and I'm just using it as a name. He uses a NAN network, right, and that gets endorsements, right? He gets paid by corporations who are like, hey, you have a amount of people who watch you. All right, we'll pay for you shot commercials on your network, blah blah blah, right? But he had shows or whatever on his NAN network, whatever, right? So he's not even getting paid directly by us. Now, maybe now be different because I don't even know what he does now, besides probably just ask for donations. But when he was in power like that, that's what some of these so-called leaders were doing. Or they use again our pain. So it was almost like they knew that they could say certain things to kind of rile us up, like you said, right? But they would use those numbers to kind of get endorsements from some other place, right? Whereas like, all right, I got the black people, they own me, I got them. Yo, Nike, I'm just making a corporation. Nike, whatever, pay me for this, blah, blah, for this show. I have this captive audience, right? So that's what they do. What you have to do, if you put like this, and the last thing I say on this, watch out for people who appeal to your emotions, right? Because all the people that appeal to your logic, they either don't have big platforms anymore, guys I follow now, like Dr. Claude Anderson, salute to him, or people who appeal to your logic, a lot of them got killed. Fred Hampton, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, they all were trying to appeal to your logic. Forget your emotions, your logic when it comes to black suffrage. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people, and those people don't exist anymore. You're not going to see a lot of those people in the media. You're not going to see a lot of those people in sports. It's people who appeal to your emotions and make you feel good for the moment. And for us right now, we need that medicine that tastes like crap, but it's going to heal us for years to come versus, oh, I feel good. Yeah, I'm moving, and the next day someone else dies.
Hey.
And just take the juice again.
Well,
No doubt. I got a fun fact for you. Did you know that the Reverend Jesse Jackson never had a job? Never had a job. And I know you're like, where's the relevance to this? Right. So my man never worked a job, never filled out a W-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was the voice of a lot of people. And you wonder how he would keep that lifestyle if he never worked and earned any money.
Of course.
Real talk.
Right. Right. Real talk. Definitely.
Right.
But listen,
so
ladies,
it's like one of those. So it's like one of those things. Like Sim said, like was this dude just saying stuff, sending people out here to do stuff, though he would never do stuff himself.
that's it. But listen, fellas, and looks like Jazz had to head off. This was good conversation tonight. Hopefully people got something from it. You know what I'm saying? I know we went over a lot of stuff. We've been talking for about 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And yeah, we've been talking for like 3 hours. Almost.
It was good.
And you know, listen, you know, with the video, I'll have it broken up so that you can go to the video and check out each section, each part of the video. You know what I mean? But I hope that this was encouraging and enlightening, to say at the very least. You know what I'm saying? My man Justin Hernandez, hopefully your son got something from it. You know what I mean?
Salute.
And we definitely gonna have more conversations like this. They may not be as long, but you know, this is a conversation that's on our mind. And I know everyone, you know, wants to talk about what's going on in Minnesota and just solely focus on the incident that's happened over the past couple of days. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. That's the reason why it keeps coming back, because it's deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? We got to have solutions for it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking you all, please, share this to people. Even if it's just a part. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just a part of it. I don't care if you take out a part of it and put it on your Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Share it to people. Let them hear parts, things that you think need to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And you can play your role just by doing that. You know, if there's parts of this that you think somebody needs to hear. Because we spoke a lot of stuff. And I do want to give a shout out to Big Freezy for the super chat earlier. Didn't get a chance to do that. And then Marty Nix, you said, let's be honest, talking about if we had our own nation, we would have the highest crime. I'm not going to get into that right now.
Wow.
I'm not going to get into that right now. That is a whole conversation for another show. And we're going to have a show with that, man, because there's a lot to talk about with that.
Nah, you're a punk, Marty. That's it. Plain simple.
There's a lot to talk about with that. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that came up here that we're going to do a show on. Joe Curry asked me to do a show on creating our own sovereign nation and how you can create your own sovereign nation. It is possible. It is possible. And I'm talking about
Killer Mike touched on this in his Netflix show.
It is possible to create a sovereign nation with 50 people. It is, you know, micro nations, they're called. It really is possible. There are a lot of things that go along with that. Because if you create a nation, and you can create a nation here in America, but now you got to have trade agreement with America. Right? Right? So, you want to buy products, you got to have a trade agreement with America. You got to have a trade agreement with other countries. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into it. And people, you know, like Freezy said, you know, there's a lot that goes into it.
Hey, but what happens when all of our entertainment products get exported through that same trade agreement?
I mean, I'm saying there's a lot that you listen. We need our area of the city, of the town, of wherever it is. We need our Tulsas, not Tulsa. We need our Tulsas, plural. That's what we need. We need our Tulsas.
Yeah,
agreed.
We need our Tulsas. So when I was saying earlier about, don't think it's, not participating in the system. I'm not saying that we don't create our Tulsas. I'm just saying don't be fooled and thinking once we create our Tulsas that we're no longer part of the system, because you are still part of the system.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But yes, we need to build our Tulsas. And that's what this was about. So fellas, I'm going to get up out of here. All right. I know I got some meetings in the morning. I'm about to get out of here. It's 1:30. I'm going to grab something to eat because I'm hungry.
Me too.
I don't know how good a nutrition that is. Like I was talking about earlier, eating at 1:30 in the morning, but I got to do it. I'm starving.
Just make
Yeah.
it up tomorrow. Man.
What'd you say?
Salad.
You
Said
said
make it up tomorrow. Salad. or something,
yeah, right, exactly. But anyway,
Green
ladies and
juice.
gentlemen, I'm out of here. I really appreciate you guys for staying up with me. Hopefully, this was something good for you. It was definitely good for me. I had a lot on my chest after last night, and I just wanted to, get it off my chest and be able to have a good constructive conversation. You know what I'm saying? Looking at things on the tube and things happening, it was just bothering me a little bit. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Look, tomorrow, we'll take a break from all of this and we'll do underground radio. We're gonna need a break from it a little bit. And then I'll be doing some New York Knicks stuff after that. My man, you can call in and talk to me on that show. All right. You know what I'm saying? You can talk to me on that show. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Please be peaceful. Be safe. I'm out of here, folks. I do want to give a shout out because it came in at the last minute. Big shout out to Marty Nix, man. Thank you for the last super chat. He said, shout out to Guillermo X. Love you for real. Now they call him Guillermo X. But Marty Nix, man, I appreciate it. And I'll shout you out again tomorrow, too, on Underground Radio. So, man, I appreciate it. And I apologize for missing it. All right, I'm out of here.